Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom, shalom. Going into the second wilderness, let's get right into it. Want to break it down precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little, to edify the body and feed you with knowledge and understanding. Alright, so let's start with Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter and the 15th verse. It says, "That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past." So things that happened in times past before us, they're now. The same spirits, the same people, you understand? Different men, even the animals and the fowls of the air and the fishes of the sea, and the mindset of the people, these are the same spirits that are on the earth now. Even certain things in the history, since this topic deals with the second wilderness, you had a wilderness prior to the one that's coming up, that you can read about in the book of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Alright? How the Most High always proclaims that he brought us out of Egypt with a high hand, with a mighty hand in the sight of the Egyptians. And he'll say, "I'm the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondmen, or out of the house of bondage." You understand? Or from the furnace. The Lord always repeats and emphasizes how he delivered us out of ancient Egypt. So that happened at times past. That is the thing that has been. You understand? And that's what's going to happen now. Alright? So the Lord is going to deliver us out of this modern Egypt. And once we're delivered out of this modern Egypt, we're going to be placed in an entirely new wilderness. Alright? The second Exodus and a second wilderness. So that which hath been is now, going into reincarnation. That's why people say history repeats itself. Alright? In Ecclesiastes 1:9 it says, "No new thing is under the sun." I believe that says, "The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." Alright? So if the Lord delivered us with a high hand in the sight of all those Egyptians on the morrow after the Passover, you understand? And the feast of unleavened bread on the full moon, you understand? After the Lord destroyed the firstborn of beast and man in the sight of Egypt, the Lord is going to do the same type of deliverance, but in better fashion out of this modern Egypt. Alright? So we're not going to leave. We're not going to sneak out of here. Nobody's going to take a passport and try to damn call the damn Delta Airlines, or try to sneak past TSA and try to get to the land of Israel, or try to take a boat and hold it. It's not working like that, man. We living out here in fashion and style. You understand? With a high hand in the sight of these modern Egyptians, which are these Americans, these Edomites. And the Lord requires that which is past. That's another point I wanted. It has to happen. And Malachi 3:6, it says, "Behold," it says, "For I am the Lord God." It says, "For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob were not consumed." So the Lord requires a second wilderness. Alright, because the first one happened. Just like the Lord requires your spirits to come back on the earth into other fleshes of bodies, and the beasts of the earth to come back in their respective lot, and prophets come back in your respective lot, and scoffers and scorners, everybody comes in a respective lot because the Most High requires that. Alright, it has to happen. It's mandatory because everything deals with cycles. But they know it's regeneration, or some nations call it the cycle of life. Alright, everything repeats itself. So there will be a second wilderness because it has to happen. Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 33:1. Alright, Numbers 33:1. I'll give you a quick background before we get too detailed into where it's going to be at and what's going to happen. Numbers chapter 33:1. "These are the journeys of the children of Israel, which went forth out of the land of Egypt with their armies, under the hand of Moses. And Moses wrote their goings out according to their journeys by the commandment of the Lord, and these are their journeys according to their goings out. And they departed from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month, on the morrow after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with a high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians. For the Egyptians buried all their firstborn, which the Lord had smitten among them. Upon their gods also the Lord executed judgments." So what is this saying? We left Egypt on the morrow after the Passover, alright, during the feast of unleavened bread, on the full moon, you understand, in the sight of all the Egyptians. We spoiled them, we robbed them. I believe it tell you that in the book of Psalms 105, that we spoiled and robbed the Egyptians. Let me find that for you, alright, because we left in style and fashion. They forced us to get out. They said, here, take the gold, take the silver, take the wealth, before your God come and destroy everything else, man. When the Most High hardened Pharaoh's heart to keep showing his power and his plagues, the Egyptians didn't fear the Most High. But once he destroyed the firstborn, the Most High took that demon off of them, which allowed them to fear the Most High and to let Israel leave. You understand? So let's go to in the book of Psalms 105. And let's break that down. See if I can find that real quick. About the account of us leaving. Alright, because you got to know these things, man. This is your history. These are your records. This is what happened to you. This is your deliverance out of slavery, bondage. Alright, captivity. Psalms chapter 105, and I'll just read through 23. It says, Israel came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. Right? And he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. Right? And we're stronger than our enemies now, man. These Edomites, name an Edomite that can do the same thing that Jake can do, man. There's nothing that an Edomite can do on a spiritual level, mental level, physical level. You understand? Anything that Jake does, it supersedes and over excels even what Esau can fathom to do in his mind, man. What Esau's thinking about is doing, we already did it already, man. Right? When Esau talking about, that's why Esau in sports, particularly boxing or basketball, they'll have something called a great white hope. Because Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Smoking Joe Frazier, Sugar Ray Leonard, you understand? These are all prominent boxers. Jack Johnson, all right? And these are men, pugilists, that beat down Edomites and other people for a living, man. They get paid to do this. Their athleticism, acceleration, you understand? A demeanor, all right? Strength, power, mental prowess. These are the things that allow them to excel in the ring over these Edomites. And constantly, from decade to decade, nobody can touch Jake in the ring. So what Esau has to do, he has to come out with movies and go to Hollywood to come up with the delusions of grandeur to seem like he's actually a top boxer. So they came up with that movie Rocky. They had $1 Million Baby. They come with all the this man Jake Gyllenhaal was just in the movie about being a boxer. They come up with all these movies about these Edomites being these top boxers because they can't touch Jake in the ring. We're stronger than them. They have an actual statue of Rocky like he's a real person. Alright, in Philadelphia, you can actually see a statue of Sylvester Stallone being Rocky, and they glorify him as being a real person. Alright? Had him beat Jake in that ring. But Jake is dominant than Esau on any level, man. You got Jakes in hockey right now dominating tennis, gymnastics. On a spiritual level, man, we're connected to a power that controls all of this, man. Or to the powers, Yahweh by Yahweh shot, Yahweh by Shem Yahweh shot. Esau can't do things like that, man. Back in ancient Egypt, we had power directly from the Most High. When Aaron would throw down his staff and it turned into a snake in Exodus the 7th chapter, it says the magicians in like manner did so with their enchantments. They couldn't call on Ra or call on damn Horus or whatever so-called god or power they believed in. They had to use enchantments and magic because Israel were mightier than them on a spiritual and physical level. All right? He turned their heart to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants. Right? So what they were doing was, I'm going to show you, I'm going to read that later in Exodus, the 1st chapter. He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen. Right? He showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. Now Ham is in the Hebrew, which is Kam, which means hot, which is the modern term for Africa, or the ancient term for Africa. He sent darkness and made it dark, and they rebelled not against his word. He turned their waters into blood and slew their fish. The land brought forth frogs in abundance in the chambers of their kings. He spake, and there came diverse sorts of flies and lice in all their coasts. These are going into the plagues that the Lord destroyed Egypt with. He gave them hail for rain and flaming fire in their land. He smote their vines also, and their fig trees, and brake their trees in their coasts. He spake, and the locusts came, and caterpillars, and that without number, and did eat up all the herbs in their land, and devoured the fruit of their ground. He smote also the firstborn in their land, the chief of their strength. You understand? So your firstborn is the chief of your strength. That's why Israel, we're the strength. Well, we're not, I wouldn't say the strength, but we are the chief hand of the Most High. We're the firstborn. All right, Yahweh Shah, he's the firstborn of the Most High. That's why he's the first begotten. You understand? Or he's the firstborn of every creation or every creature. He brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among them. So that silver and gold is when we spoiled them, when we robbed them, and they willingly gave us their wealth, their silver and their gold. You understand? They willingly delivered unto us their riches. All right. It says Egypt was glad when they departed, for the fear of them fell upon them. So once that firstborn was destroyed, the Most High took that demon off of the Pharaoh and the Egyptians, and they understood that Yahweh ruled in the kingdom of men. And the Most High, he only set up ancient Egypt just to destroy it. All right, he gave them ancient Egypt was the top political power at the time. All right, top in economics. All right, top in medicine, top in so-called education, top in gold and silver and land and wealth, and military, man. All nations dwell under the shadow of ancient Egypt. That's the same thing for modern Egypt, for America, for Babylon the Great. All nations dwell under the shadow of ancient Egypt, the modern Egypt. All nations come to America, they want to come to Harvard. You got nations in damn China, and in Beijing, Shanghai parts in China, places in Russia, Japan, India, England, France, even places in Africa, Australia. They all want to come to America to learn American philosophy, man. They want to come to Yale. They want to come to Harvard. They want to go to Brown and Dartmouth, you understand, and Cornell and all these Ivy League schools, because they believe and worship Esau. They worship this beast. They want to come to Esau's system. They want to come to Johns Hopkins and come to damn MIT and all these different medicine and industrial technology schools, because they understand that America is the top kingdom. Even if you just want to come here on vacation and come to tour and live a better life, people actually swim here, man. People die people actually smuggle people into America because they understand that this is Egypt all over again, man. This is that top nation. These are the same people that tried to sneak and flee into ancient Egypt, same people that's trying to come into modern Egypt, man. People die trying to come over here. People get shot trying to come over here, man. Just to come into America and try to live a better life, man. Enter Babylon the Great. Alright? So this is the same Egypt all over again, man. Same Pharaoh, same spirits. Alright? Now from there, this is just to show you how we got that gold and silver, how we left with a high hand in the sight of all those Egyptians. Let's go back to Numbers. Alright? I don't want to make this too long. Numbers chapter 33. You know, Jay got that short attention span. Numbers 33 and 2. And they departed from Ramses in the first month, which is Abbot, which means green corn. On the 15th day of the first month, on the morrow after the Passover, the children of Israel here's the point I wanted, with a high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians. So when we leave America, we're going to leave with a high hand, man. We leaving in chariots. All right, we leaving in vehicles that can shapeshift. These chariots can go speeds faster than the speed of light. They could turn invisible, you understand? They can turn counterclockwise. He decked out with precious jewels and silver and gold. They can do all types of things that Esau can't do, man. His NASA program, and look, these chariots are from the third heaven, strictly invented by Yahweh Shah himself, from the counsel of the Most High, Yahweh. So we're going to leave in a high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians, man. When Jacob's trouble is happening and we look like we about to be destroyed as a nation of people, when there's a genocide on the elect and the other Israelites, then all of a sudden you're going to hear that trumpet blow. You're going to enter in Yahweh Shah, his so-called mothership, known as the fathership or his chariot. The other angels are going to come with the chariots, and we're going to get beamed up to the third heaven and be above the firmament. That's the second Exodus. The Lord is not going to part the Atlantic Ocean and we all going to be in a single file line and, oh, let's hurry up. And then the Esau are going to run after us with tanks. No, that's not what's going to happen, man. You understand? The Lord is going to deliver us via chariots. So let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra 15 and 8. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 8. To give you more precepts to show you, Slakia, to give you more precepts to show you how America is known as ancient Egypt. Well, America is modern Egypt all over again. Alright? Not only are people reincarnated, you can hear about John the Baptist being the reincarnation of Elijah. Or you can read about the different prophets being reincarnated. You understand? You can read about Moses and Job being reincarnated and so forth and so on. All right. Also, whole nations are reincarnated, whole kingdoms. America is the reincarnation of ancient Egypt and Rome all over again. The entire people, the same presidents are those same pharaohs. These same presidents are those same Caesars. You understand? These same top magicians and wicked high priests that would be in the damn what is that, Bohemian Grove, dealing with Baphomet and Molech. Those are those same priests that Moses had to deal with, man. That were turning damn water into blood and turning their staffs into actual snakes. Same thing they did in ancient Rome. Alright? So whole nations are reincarnated. So America is a reincarnation of ancient Egypt. Did not the Lord say in Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships? By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Alright, so you went into Egypt again on ships, man. This is fundamental. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 8. It says, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. So who's the innocent and righteous blood crying unto the Most High? That's the blood of the saints, of the prophets, you understand? Of the nation of Israel. Not just Emmett Till, you can know, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, Philando Castile, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin. The list goes on and on. You have actual prophets that were slain here, man. You understand? Actual priests and prophets and kings that were slain here in the land of modern day Egypt again. Alright? Did not the Lord say, your Lord shall bring thee and thy king? Let me find that scripture real quick. I know it's in Deuteronomy. Alright, it goes back to the curses about the Lord bringing, well, I don't got to get it, but you can read it on your own. And the curses in Deuteronomy, the Lord said he would bring us and the king which we shall set over thee into another land. Who's the king that we had over us? Let me just pull it up for you. Let's get it. All right, let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. All right, Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter. And we're going to show you that our kings were actually brought over here, man. And if one king came over here, his sons came over here, which is that same person. All right, so our kings were slain over here. I believe it's Deuteronomy 28. And let me see if I can find that. Here it is, 28 and 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. So during this time in Deuteronomy, Saul was the second king. All right, but the first king you had, when you read Deuteronomy, well, actually Melchizedek, Yahushua, he's the first king, but the second king is Moses. All right, he's the second king. All right, and he's the king that we set over us, and he was brought forth into this land, man. All right, he was the king set over us. How do you know Moses was the king? Let's go to Deuteronomy 33 to show you that. Deuteronomy 33, and I'll start at 4. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And he was king in Jeshurun. All right, Jeshurun is another title for Israel. I believe it means upright. When the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together. So it says Moses was a king. So he's the king that was set over us. You also have Saul, David, you understand? Solomon, Rehoboam, Asa, Hezekiah, Uzziah, plenty other kings, man. All these kings were slain over here. They all died here in the land of Babylon the Great. All of our kings died in modern day Egypt. Our prophets died over here, man. That's why the Lord said, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me. Let's go to the book of Joel 3 and 19. Let's prove it some more, though. Joel 3 and 19 to show you that that innocent and righteous blood is talking about the saints. It's not talking about Esau. All right. They have funerals. They get to live to their 85 years old and then just get buried in a damn $400,000 casket and then come back on the earth and be wicked again, man. They don't die. They die and just give up the ghost, man. We die. We didn't do anything wrong. All right. We die unjust. We'll die with our hands up. You can drive and get pulled over. You reach for your wallet and you get shot between the eyes, man. And you ain't even do nothing. You know, you could be walking with your hoodie on and get shot in the back. Oh, he threatened me. Oh, I had to cross the street. I had to clutch my purse. I had to shoot him because I got scared. And that's what they say, man. Joel 3:19. Innocent and righteous blood getting damn tested with syphilis, man. And certain stages of syphilis, you die. Infesting AIDS in our community, putting damn lead and toxic things into our water to sterilize our women and to kill the babies, and all of that is the innocent and righteous blood being slain here in Babylon the Great during the times of slavery. Over what? Over 100 million so-called Judites, Benjamin and Levites died on their way over here, man, and in the land. And these are the numbers that Esau tells you, man. They say Esau says over 77 million Gadites died. That's the innocent and righteous blood being killed, man. Working in this damn slave field, getting beat. People actually got raped to death, man. Literally, till they died. So you don't think this devil got something to pay for? You don't think Esau, this land is being soaked with our blood? Why do you think there's all these wildfires and tornadoes and hailstorms and uprising and this kingdom is falling? Because you have certain spirits up there in the heavens complaining to the Most High as I do this video. But let's get to Joel 3:19. It says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. All right? Why? For the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. We just read in 2 Ezra 15:8 that the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto him. So that innocent and righteous blood is from the children of Judah and the rest of Israel. But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for the Lord dwelleth in Zion. So that goes back to the law in Numbers 35 about the Lord cleansing our blood, man. Let's get that in Numbers 35 and 33. Let's get to the law, man. Jake knows the laws that you can't eat pork, you gotta grow your beard out, keep the Sabbath day, but they don't know the laws about the restitution of blood. All right? Numbers 35 and 33. These laws play a heavy impact on the things you see going on around you. Numbers 35 and 33. So shall ye not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So innocent blood that shed, it defiles the land. So of course, from the inception of this so-called white man coming over here, this land has been soaked with the blood of our people, and it's unclean, it's profaned. All right, so this land or our blood cannot be cleansed unless Esau's blood is shed. All right, it says, defile not the land wherein ye inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I the Lord dwell among the children of Israel. So that's why the Lord is not in this place. He's not here in Babylon the Great, man. His righteous spirit is not flowing here because the Lord cannot dwell here because the land is so defiled and unclean. All right, now let's go to the book of Genesis. Actually, let's go to Revelation 6, because it said the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me. Blood doesn't actually have a tongue, a voice, you know, understand, tonsils. Is that what they say? Tonsils, a damn larynx, a voice box, a throat. So blood can actually cry and complain before the Lord. So when it says the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, that's talking about the spirits up there in the third heaven that complain to the Most High, that stand before the Most High and complain before him. They complain before the Lord, and the Lord puts strength in these spirits and send them back on the earth. But I'm going to show you that. It's lucky, Israel. Shalom, shalom.
Hey, shalom. You still in the house?
Yeah.
Can you see, look in the kitchen and see if you see any soy sauce?
Here, I'm going to get a phone and drawing because I'm doing this video real quick.
Okay.
All right. Slakia, Israel. This Revelation 6. All right. Slakia, Revelation 6. So I'm showing you about the innocent and righteous blood that crieth unto me. Revelation chapter 6 and 9. It says, and when I opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. So these spirits that John saw, he saw Peter, he saw Paul, you understand? He saw the other apostles, he saw Stephen, he saw Antipas, you understand? He saw the Maccabees brothers, and he saw certain spirits of the saints that died during Jacob's trouble that were martyrs for this truth. You understand? They were slain for the word of the Most High and for the testimony which they had held. He actually saw their spirits. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, doest thou not judge and avenge our blood of them that dwell on the earth? So that they're complaining before the Lord, so the Lord can make restitution for their blood being shed. And they complain up there in the spirit world. That's what 2 Ezra 15 and 8 said. The innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, man. You understand? That's like somebody constantly complaining, like, can you please do this for me? Please do this. Please do this. You can be like, I'm going to do it. You're going to start getting mad and you're going to do it, man. You're going to make restitution. You're going to feel bad. You understand? You're going to show that man mercy. You want to execute judgment for him. Does not it say in Luke 18, and shall not God avenge his own elect which cry day and night unto him? That's talking about us on the earth and talking about us in the spirit world complaining before the Lord. Let's give you another example. All right, let's go to the book of Job, the 23rd chapter. All right, Job chapter 23 and 1. Another parable about us being in the spirit world complaining before the Lord. And this happens even as I do this video, even as you watch it. Then Job answered and said, Even today is my complaint bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. Job said, I wish I knew where the Most High judgment seat was, man, so I can come before his seat. You understand? That's like you watching all your brothers getting shot and killed in the streets. I mean, you want justice? Like, man, where the judge at, man? I want to go talk to the judge. That's what Job is saying. All right? I will order my cause before him and fill my mouth with arguments. So up there in the spirit world, you go actually stand before the judgment seat of the Most High, and you fill your mouth with arguments, and you complain before the Lord, man. You understand? You basically getting on the Most High. It says, I would know the words which he would answer me, and understand what he was saying to me. Will he plead against me with his great power? Meaning, will the Most High destroy me for complaining against him? It says, no, but he will put strength in me. It says, so there is a certain location. It says, there the righteous might dispute with him. So should I be delivered forever from my judge. So it says, there up there in the spirit world, the righteous dispute before the Lord. Man, they complain before the Lord up there in the spirit world. All right? And the Most High don't cuss you out or rebuke you and then take his spirit back from you or whatever. The Most High puts strength in you. He sends you back on the earth to do his will. All right? To continue that lot. But you don't know that when you come back on the earth because there's no remembrance of former things. So it says there in the spirit world, or there is a location, the righteous might dispute with him. Where is there? It says come to his seat, the judgment seat up there in the spirit world. All right, let's go to Genesis. Let's get another account. All right, let's see what happened between Abel and Cain. Abel being that shepherd, man. Symbolic for Yahweh Shai. Symbolic for the nation of Israel. I'll start at 8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Now there's a more detailed account, if you didn't know, in 2 Samuel the 14th chapter. There's a parable in 2 Samuel 14 about a woman giving an account of her two sons, but it's really talking about Esau and Jacob. If you're in the spirit, you can understand that. Alright? It says, And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? So Cain's a liar and a murderer. And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. So how is the voice of his brother's blood crying unto him? Because Abel went up there in the spirit world, and Abel's name means brief. You understand? It means basically you're here for a moment. You're transitory. You understand? You're only here for a moment of time. Because Abel was predestined only to be here for a certain amount of time before he died and went up to the spirit world. When he went up to the spirit world, he complained before the Lord. Alright? And the Lord brought him back as Jacob to execute judgment in this life. and lives before Jacob. So just to show you about that innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and what happens up there in the spirit world, and why there has to be judgment executed, because we're complaining before the Lord day and night. All right. 2nd Ezra 15:8. It says, I'll just start from here. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore, said the Lord, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. That's why this land has to be destroyed, to make restitution for our blood being shed. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Showing you that we dwell in modern day Egypt, man. We're led to the flock as a slaughter. We're being killed by these philosophies, by false doctrines. When you go into the damn, I believe it tell you in Proverbs, the, what is that, the 5th chapter? That the house of these other philosophies lead to death. It says, go not to her house, or her steps take hold on hell. Why do her house lead into death, or these philosophies lead into death? Because that's slaughter, man. Christianity, Catholicism, going into Islam, being the damn Nuwapian, dealing with blackism and Babylonianism, Egyptology, politics, that lead into death. Those are other women and other philosophies, and that's how you're led to a slaughter. When you walk out your door, you're led as a slaughter, man. In Lamentations, it tell you that they hunt our steps. And that in Jeremiah it says they offend not, because we've sinned against the Lord. In Deuteronomy 28, the curse says, thou shalt fear continually, man, and thou shalt have no assurance of thy life. We're like sheep amongst wolves, amongst young lions. And even in Psalms 58:6, the Lord compares Esau to being a young lion. He said, break their teeth in their mouth, or break the teeth of these young lions, man. Because we're the flock led as slaughter. The lost sheep don't know what's going on. So as a shepherd, you can't have your sheep just being innocently shed, man. You understand? You need your sheep. A great shepherd needs sheep for fleece, for wool. You understand? For milk, okay? For meat. All right. So the Lord needs us, man. All right. I mean, the Lord don't need us, but we're His possession. He bought us with a price. Okay. It says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and stretch their arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with a plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it. So Egypt, meaning America, is going to be smitten with plagues as before. Let's go to Revelation 11:8. Why do you think these wildfires are happening, man? These tornadoes, these earthquakes, these fissures, these race wars that's brewing up, political unrest, government shutting down. All hell is breaking loose, and Yasha'Allah is waking up. Those are plagues. All right. Revelation 11:8. They're glad tidings for us, but they're evil tidings for Esau and these nations. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So America's that great city, which is spiritually called Sodom, due to its application of homosexuality, and due to it being proud and promoting all types of transgenderism and lesbian and gay agendas, even in the school system. And it's Egypt. Why is America Egypt? Because we're brought into bondage over here again, man. That's the main reason. And also because they duplicate the philosophies and ideologies, even architecture of ancient Egypt, man. That obelisk in DC is it's the architecture. It's a direct obelisk from damn ancient Egypt. They have that in the Vatican too. All right. It says let me move on. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 31. I'm trying to move fast through these precepts. All right. Isaiah, as long as you get the understanding. Just giving you more precepts and understanding for ancient Egypt right now. How America's ancient Egypt, and the same way we got delivered out of ancient Egypt, showing that we're going to get delivered out of America, which is modern Egypt. So I'm showing you precepts to show you that America is modern Egypt. Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots because there are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. All right. So woe unto them. Back then in the ancient world, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and the prophets would always rebuke Israel for fleeing the judgment of the Lord and running away from the prophets to go into Egypt, man. Because they knew back in the ancient time, our forefathers always went into Egypt. Abraham did, Isaac, Jacob, You understand? The 12 patriarchs, they all went into Egypt. All right? And our forefathers were fleeing to Egypt because they trusted in Egypt's military strength. You understand? They trusted in Egypt's chariots. They trusted in Pharaoh and how he would deliver. He could deliver Israel. So that's the same dynamic now, man. People trust in this modern day system. Jakes, they love WIC. They love they'll wait and kill people for food stamps, man. They trust in Esau's education system. They don't trust in the Most High. They don't seek the book of life to get wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. They don't want precepts for understanding. Neither do they want knowledge. They don't want the fear of the Lord. They want Esau's glorification and his standards of wisdom, which is the foolishness of this world. Or the wisdom of this world is foolishness unto God, I should say. They want a doctorate degree in physics. They want a damn bachelor's degree in communication. They want a double doctorate and damn biology and chemistry, man. Because Esau said that that's wise. And they want that. So they trust in Egypt for knowledge and wisdom. On the left-hand side, they trust in Esau, man. You don't pray to the Most High. Well, let's say Jake get hurt, sprain his shoulder. Sprain your back, you got a damn migraine. What are you supposed to do? What does Wisdom of Solomon 16:12 say? It says, it was neither herb nor mollifying plasters that restored them to health, but thy word, O Lord, that healeth all things. Did not the Lord say, I kill, I make alive, I wound, and I heal? You're supposed to seek the Most High to be healed. All right, pray to the Lord, and the Lord can heal you instantly. But what do? You drive 5 miles out the way in the middle of the night to go pick up a damn NyQuil because you trust in Esau. You trust in Egypt for help, man. You go 20 minutes out the way and get a prescription. You from CVS. You schedule your doctor's appointment so Esau can shoot you up with a damn shot that you don't know what's in it. You trust in Egypt for help, man. That's what we did back then. We always trusted in Egypt for help. Like all the other nations. The Lord said, woe and death and destruction unto those men. All right. It says, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. So that's the same thing they do now, man. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28:68. This is an Israelite fundamental precept, 101. Deuteronomy 28:68. It says what? You should know this one by heart. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, meaning into bondage again, into America again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Going into the slave trade, however, brought into Egypt again, or into modern Egypt, which is America again. This is ancient Egypt all over again. And as we teach out on the streets, we always pull out the dollar bill, and we show them how America's Egypt, because there's a pyramid on the dollar bill, and that's just on a small level. Let's go to Jeremiah 16:14. Are we moving fast? Jeremiah chapter 16 and 14. Got a lot of precepts I want to get into. All right. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. So the Lord is going to deliver us out of this modern day Egypt again, man. Out of America. All right. We're not going to really be talking about the ancient Egypt deliverance in the kingdom and, talking about the damn bitter herbs and stuff. Although we're going to keep the Passover in the kingdom, pursuant to the latter chapters of Ezekiel. But we're also more than likely going to have a new high holy day, man, to commemorate the destruction of Babylon the Great. Purim, Day of Simon, destruction of Nicanor, even the Feast of Dedication are all high holy days that are based on Esau and our enemies being destroyed, man. So what do you think is going to happen when we get delivered out of modern Egypt? There's going to be a high holy day more than likely, man. All right, and that's the holiday that we're going to be talking about, or the holy day. We're going to get delivered out of this modern Egypt, which is the land of the north. America is known as the land of the north. All right, you can read about that in Zechariah, the 2nd chapter, and many other precepts. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 19:1. Isaiah chapter 19:1. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, talking about a chariot, and shall come into Egypt. So the first place that Yahushua is coming into is Egypt, man. All right. You had our first mediator, Moses, in ancient Egypt. The second mediator is the Lord from heaven, and he's coming into modern Egypt. It's the first place that's going to be destroyed. All right? So Yahushua is coming. He's going to do his damage here, and then those missiles from the other nations, simultaneously, they're going to finish this place off. And then Yahushua is going to leave this area of Babylon and go into the so-called Middle East, Armageddon, and go destroy those nations, pursuant to the vision that Ezra saw. All right? And Isaiah, he said, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. It says, and he's going to come into Egypt, which is America, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. So who are the idols of Egypt? You have actual idols of Egypt, like the Statue of Liberty. It's symbolic for, Statue of Liberty. You got the Washington Monument. Those are idols. All right. That St. Louis Arch, that CERN Gate. Those are all wicked idols, based off of wickedness. Those are going to be moved, meaning destroyed at his presence. But you have actual idols. You're going to have these celebrities hiding in these underground bunkers. Those are idols, man. When people got a damn fat head of LeBron James on their wall, you got an autograph of LeBron James, and you bow down to his shoes, and you know his damn birthday, his height, his weight, his favorite food, his eye color, his blood type. You treat him like a damn idol, man. You understand? These different celebrity literally means celestial or celio. The root of that word celebrity means the heavens, or it means the stars, or like a god. That's why even in Hollywood they had that walk in Hollywood with the stars, because those are idols, man. All right, people actually worship these men and these people. They're going to be moved at his presence. All right, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, meaning the mind of America is going to be done for. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to their idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. So that's what the Lord is going to do, man. When Yahushua make his second coming, they're going to call their top biologists up, top physicians, top chemists, top engineers, you understand, top psychologists, and they all going to come up with a plan to how to destroy Yahushua. These damn top astronauts, these are the charmers and familiar spirits and wizards, man. You have actual wizards that work behind the scenes that deal with Satan directly, wicked high priests on the left-hand side, that are trying to summon Satan to try to fight against Yahushua, summon demons. But the Most High is in control of that, man. So they don't know what's going on. So the Lord's coming into America, which is modern Egypt, to deliver Israel. And as the Lord comes into Egypt, we're going to see him come in. But as we see Yahushua come in, we're going to be cheering, but we're going to be scared too, because the missiles going to be coming in. You're going to see the missiles entering into the atmosphere, falling. It's going to look like shooting stars falling from heaven, pursuant to Matthew 24 and Revelation 6. Right? They're going to be falling like figs on a fig tree. They're just going to be coming down. And you might get hit by the missile, but before you get hit, you're going to get beamed up in the chariot. In 1 Peter 4, it says, the righteous shall what? Shall scarcely be saved. And we're going to get beamed up into the chariot. That's the second Exodus. All right, let's go into Zephaniah 3 and 18. Zephaniah chapter 3 and 18. Trying to move fast, but still paint the picture for you and give you an overall understanding about this second Exodus. So before I get into the second wilderness, we're going into the second Exodus. All right, I guess I'll title that the second wilderness, second Exodus and second wilderness. All right, Zephaniah chapter 3 and 18. It says, I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out, and get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. So we don't need to sell out to get a damn contract, $1 million contract, or get a record label, or sell out to be prominent and successful in this society. That's not where our fame is going to come from. Our fame is not going to come from us selling our soul and committing sin and worshiping the beast. Our fame is going to come from what? From Yahushua delivering us, man. Our fame comes from the Most High. Wasn't Yahushua famous and he was doing his miracles, didn't it say his fame spread through all Galilee and the coast of Judea? Paraphrasing it. So Yahweh was famous not because he sold out. He was famous because he did the work of the Most High, and Yahweh magnified him. All right, so Yahweh is going to magnify the nation of Israel while he magnifies himself simultaneously. And we're going to get praise and fame in all these lands. And they're going to look at us as gods on the earth, as they should have been looking at us as they did in the days of old. All right, this is one of my favorite verses. At that time I will bring you again, even in the time that I gather you, for I will make you a name and praise among all people of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, said the Lord. So in Numbers 33, it said we left with a high hand in the sight of those Egyptians. This is going into how we're going to leave in a high hand in the sight of these modern Egyptians, getting praise and fame in every land, man. And Wisdom of Solomon 5, you can read that on your own. It says, then shall the righteous stand with great boldness against the face of all them that afflicted them. Paraphrasing. All right, because we're going to stand bold in that day. We're going to be proud in that day when we get delivered. They're literally going to watch us get beamed up, and they're going to be repentant and be like, these niggas, these homeless men that was out there in the highways and byways teaching, these are the saints of the Most High. And why they think that thought, that missile going to hit them right in the dome. All right, so from there, let's go to the book of Matthew 24 and 29. Matthew chapter 24 and 29. Moving on. Alright, so that's where our fame is coming from. That's the high hand leaving. Matthew chapter 24 and 29. So this is going into the second Exodus right now. Immediately after the tribulation in those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. So what does it mean immediately after the tribulation of those days? I've seen certain people in Israel talking about they don't know if there's going to be a Jacob's trouble or not. That tribulation that it's talking about is Jacob's trouble. You can read that in Jeremiah the 30th chapter, the 6th verse on down. You can read about that in Daniel the 12th chapter, the 1st verse. It said at that time Michael the archangel shall stand up, the prince of thy people. And I'm paraphrasing that verse. So immediately after Jacob's trouble, you can read about that in Revelation 3 and 10, the hour of temptation. 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, the 68th verse on down, about they shall be like mad men, so spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Revelation 12 and 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war against her seed, or against them that keep the commandments of the Most High. Paraphrasing. So that's where these guillotines are coming into play, or these concentration camps are coming into play, man. They got these gas chambers, they got firing squad, you're going to get beheaded. Israel's going to be getting damn near exterminated. It's going to look like a genocide conducted by Esau and these other nations. Their plan is always to conduct a genocide. You can read about that. Esau tried to do that in the beginning as Haman during the time of Mordecai and Esther. They wanted to send a mandatory law to exterminate all the Jews in all those provinces. All right? And when you go into the history of that man, Haman, he was an Amalekite, a Macedonian, a so-called Jew. All right? So they always had a plan to exterminate us. And Jacob's trouble is the plan where Israel is going to be eradicated. All right? That's where the majority of the 2/3 is going to be destroyed. So that's the tribulation of those days. So right after Jacob's trouble, what? Shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light? What does it mean the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light? Is that literal? Yes, it is literal, but it's also spiritual. Because the sun and the moon represent wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. They represent the light to this world. And the light of this world comes from Esau, comes from these other nations. So their flame or their candle is going to go out pursuant to Job. You understand? Their university is going to be shut down. All these top biologists and physicists are going to be shut down. Everything's going to be diminished and wiped off the face of the earth, man. Because light is wisdom. Light is knowledge and understanding. And if the sun and the moon, which are the lights that govern this world, if they're blacked out, that means the wisdom of this world is going to be blacked out. Nobody's going to have a solution. There's going to be no form of understanding. And the whole world is going to be in darkness mentally because they're not going to understand that these are times that were prophesied from the days of old. They're not going to understand that these are plans from the Most High. All right, let me give you a precept to show you about that sun and moon. And let's go to, let me get two. Isaiah chapter 13. All right. Isaiah 13 and let's see, 10. I'll start at 9. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. Alright? Meaning what? The wisdom is going to be blotted out, because the sun and the moon endure forever, pursuant to Ecclesiastes. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Because when America's on his way out, their wisdom is going to be wiped out. Their lights are going to be wiped out. Alright, their wisdom is going to be depleted. Let's get another one. Or you should be able to understand it. It's a similar to, often when you read about the sun and the moon, it's not talking about the actual sun and the moon. Isaiah 24 and 21. And they should be gathered together. This is going into us rounding up the nations and putting them into slavery. Alright. And they should be gathered together, talking about the elites, as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and they should be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. Then the moon shall be confounded. So how can the moon be confounded? How can the literal moon, be confused? It's not talking about the actual moon. It's talking about the wisdom and the lights of this world. You understand? The education system, the philosophies and the politics and the things that are seen as the light of this world, that's going to be shut down. Then shall the moon be confounded and the sun ashamed, when the Lord of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and before his ancients gloriously. Because they're not going to have an understanding about what the hell just happened, man. Let's go to Revelation 12. Alright, and we're in Israel, if you have ears to hear, we're in control of the sun and the moon. Alright, we have the sun and moon under our feet, man. Why? Because we were given the laws and commandments. Revelation chapter 12 and 1, right? Yeah, Revelation 12 and 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman. This woman is the daughter of Zion. Jeremiah 6 and 2 and Isaiah 56 and 4, I believe, or 54 and 6 tells you that the nation of Israel is portrayed as a woman. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So the sun and the moon represent the wisdom and knowledge that we subdued. How do we subdue it? Because we have the laws and commandments, man. We were set up to be kings and priests on the earth. That's why it's under our feet. And upon our head are the crown of 12 stars, which represent the 12 tribes from Judah, Benjamin, and Levi on down to Naphtali, Zebulun, and Issachar. So that's the sun and the moon that it's talking about. So let's go back to Matthew 24. Just to, break it down for Jake so you can understand what these scriptures are talking about. There's secrets in here, man. Alright. Matthew chapter 24 and 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, talking about those missiles. And the powers of the heaven shall be shaken, meaning these kingdoms are going to be damn near wiped off the face of the earth due to World War III. So while that's happening, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, Yahushua. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So Yahushua is coming in his chariots, and the earth is going to mourn. They're not going to be happy, because they understand that this is the end of their rulership and the deliverance for their slaves, the nation of Israel. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And we're going to get beamed up in those chariots, man. The elect. Alright. Now from there, let's go to the book of Revelation 11 and 12. Alright. Those clouds of heaven are the chariots, and that's where we're going to get beamed up in. Revelation chapter 11 and 12. It says, and they... it's lucky. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven, saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So we're literally going to hear a voice from heaven, from the angel in Hebrew, and it's going to say, come up hither. Meaning come up into these chariots. Alright? I'm going to ascend up into heaven in a cloud. They show you that in movies like Star Trek and Star Wars movies. They'll say, beam me up, and they'll get beamed up into the spaceships. And that's what we're going to do. Alright? Now, this is going into that second Exodus. I'm just giving you more precepts to paint the picture. Let's go to the book of Psalm chapter 68 and 13. Psalms chapter 68 and 13. Alright? Because when we're leaving in the high hand, like I said, we're not going to sneak out of here, man. Nobody's going to take a damn Honda Accord and leave America to escape the destruction. We're not going to need a passport and, oh, we're going to have to pay and renew our passport and make sure you got your license and your social security to leave. No, we leaving here in style and fashion, man. Now, what did I want? Psalms chapter 68. It's like it, Israel. Now, let's go to verse 13. Psalm 68 and 13. So I'm trying to give you precepts, because what the Lord says in Psalms 119 and 104, through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. Alright, it says what? Psalm 68 and 13. Though ye have lion among the pots, yet shall ye be as the wings of a dove, covered with silver, and her feathers with yellow gold. So those are the chariots that it's talking about, man. Those are the wings of a dove. It's not talking about an actual dove. We're going to be covered by a big bird with gold feathers. A bird can't have gold because gold is a heavy metal. You can't have gold feathers. You will fall down to the ground. So that's a similar to talking about the so-called UFOs, the chariots of the Most High. They're going to be actually decked out with gold and silver from the heavens. All right, so when we leaving in the high hand, we leaving in style, man. Like if you drove a damn 1985 station wagon your whole life, and that's all you know, all right, and then you eventually you get dropped off, but then you get picked up by a damn Bugatti, 2018 Bugatti, you leaving in style, man. You leaving your location in fashion with a high hand. So when people look at you, I'm like, oh man, oh, I didn't know that happened. I didn't know he had a Bugatti. That's how we're gonna leave. I didn't know that these chariots were going to deliver the elect. I thought these were green men inside of them and damn aliens. Alright, so that's leaving in style and in fashion. Alright, let's jump down to... Alright, I'm going to just bring them out. Let's go to Isaiah 26 and 19. Isaiah chapter 26 and 19. So the first half of this breakdown is going into the second Exodus. The second half is going into the wilderness. Isaiah 26 and 19. Thy dead men shall live. Together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in the dust, for thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. So what does it mean, thy dead man shall live, together with my dead body shall they arise? This is twofold. You're going to actually have men that come out the graves. Okay? Men are actually going to literally come out the earth and out of their tombs and graves and live again, known as the resurrection. Alright? And Isaiah knew that he would be dead. That's what it said, together with my dead body shall they arise. Because although Isaiah is going to be resurrected, you have a spiritual resurrection. Calling yourself black and African American and Mexican and Native American and accepting the Jehovah Witness philosophy and being a Mormon and being a damn Lutheran or a damn Catholic, that's being in a dead state. But you're going to live again. Along with Isaiah, because Isaiah was disconnected from his heritage as well, into a dead state. That's why in Revelation 11, it says, your dead body shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. So we're going to spiritually resurrect and physically resurrect. It says, awake and sing, ye that dwell in the dust. And that's what's happening, man. We're awakening and singing, coming out of our dead state. And as we awake, we're singing that spiritual song. Alright, that spiritual song goes back to the song in Revelation 14 that the 144,000 know, which is the secret wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures that the rest of the world, even the rest of Israel, doesn't have. We're awakening and singing as we dwelt in the dust. For thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. And that dew represents the moisture. Right, it represents water. Like you go out early in the morning around like 4 a.m. to around even 7 a.m., the dew is what wets the grass. You can walk outside and be like, well, I didn't know it rained last night. It didn't even rain last night, but the grass is wet because there's water under the earth. All right? And the Lord can condense the air, the water in the air, and have it moisturize the grass. And that's what that dew is. So when you come out of the dust and out of the grave, you need living water. You need moisture. Your thirst needs to be quenched. Right? So if you were damn buried alive, like they show you that in that movie, that Quentin Tarantino movie, Kill Bill, when Buck. I believe his name was Buck. Right? No, not Buck. What was Bill's brother name?
Oh, it was Buck.
No, Buck was the dude. I'm Buck, and I liked the from the beginning. It was another dude. Well, you watched the movie Kill Bill. He had a brother, and his brother shot her in the stomach with like a tranquilizer, and then he buried her alive. So she was dwelling in the dust, in the earth. So when she broke out of the damn coffin, what was the first thing that she got? She got a damn glass of water, man. All right? Been in the damn dust, you need living water. So when you come out this grave, your spiritual resurrection, your physical resurrection, you're going to want something to drink. That's why your doers has to do of herbs. And the earth shall cast out the dead. So people physically going to come out the grave and spiritually come out the grave. That's what it's talking about. And then you're going to enter into the chariots. That's what it says, come my people, enter thou into thy chambers. Meaning enter into the chariots. And shut thy doors about thee, and hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Right? So we're going to be in the chariots for about 1 hour, more or less, until the Lord's indignation be overpast, that he destroys all these other nations in the battle of Armageddon. Alright? Now from there, let's go to 1 Thessalonians 4:13. So there's going to be a resurrection of people coming out of the grave. 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter, and I'm going to go to the 13th verse. It's lucky. 1 Thessalonians 4:13. It says, but I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. Because in the church of Thessalonica, you had Israelites that talked to Paul, and they asked Paul, well, what happened to the people that died in the truth? And Paul is responding to them by a letter. And Paul is saying, look, I don't want y'all to be ignorant concerning the people that died in the truth. I'm going to break it down to you about the people that died in the truth. He said, what? For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will God bring with him. And when you read Psalms 13:3, sleep is referred to as death. Even Jake hear that in rap songs, they say sleep is a cousin of death. It says, for this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. So the people that survived Jacob's trouble, the first people that's going to get beamed up in the chariots are the people that's in the graves. People that died in the truth, they're going to get beamed up into the chariot first, and then if you survive Jacob's trouble, you're going to get beamed up second. Alright, it says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So he told them to comfort one another, because you have people that was concerned about men that died in the truth. You may have had martyrs or men of old age that died in the truth, and they didn't understand what happened to them. So Paul just quickly broke down to them a resurrection breakdown in a manner of 4 verses. And he told them to comfort one another and tell the other brothers who didn't know what was going on about how their loved ones and how their brothers would still be delivered up into the chariot. Same thing you're supposed to do now. So don't be concerned about dying for the truth. You're going to be beamed up in the chariot, and you comfort one another with those words. You got shotgun on the chariot. Let's go to the book of Matthew 27:50. Matthew chapter 27 and 50. Alright, so this is going into the deliverance, the second Exodus. Matthew 27:50. Yahushua, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain, from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. So the veil of the temple represents that old covenant by animal sacrifice. And it was rent in twain because the Lord is not dealing with animal sacrifice no more. Alright. It says, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. All right, so that's what the Lord did, man. When the Lord died, there was a resurrection, because when the Lord comes back and your spiritual body dies and your fleshly body ascends up to the heaven, you're going to be resurrected. So when the Lord was crucified and gave up the ghost, there was an actual resurrection that happened in Jerusalem. And people's great-grandfathers and great-uncles and great-great-grandmothers came up out of the graves. Even their brothers came out of the grave, and they went into their brothers and sisters and their family and appeared unto many in Jerusalem. So that's a chosen generation. All right, now from there, let's go to the book of John, chapter 5 and 25. Actually, we're not going to get that. We're going to go to Revelation 15 and 1. All right, Revelation 15 and 1. So I showed you the parallels between ancient Egypt and modern Egypt through the scriptures. I'm showing you how we're going to get delivered out of this modern Egypt. I show you how we got delivered out of ancient Egypt and how we're leaving with a high hand. So what's going to happen is Yahweh Shai is going to enter into the firmament, right? He's going to destroy Babylon the Great. We're going to get beamed up in the chariots. And then the people that are resurrected, they're going to get beamed up first. And the people that survive Jacob's trouble, they're going to get beamed up second. That's the second Exodus. All right. Then we're going to be up in the firmament, above the firmament, for a certain period of time, for about an hour, right above the firmament, which Esau calls, they call it the magnetosphere. I know Jake, they'll break it down and say that's the ozone layer, but the ozone layer, you got like the stratosphere, the thermosphere, the ionosphere, the exosphere, and the peak at the top of the atmosphere is what they know as the magnetosphere. And you're going to be right above that. And you're going to look down, it's going to be clear, and you're going to see the fire ascending up to the sky. But I'm going to show you that Revelation 15 and 1. You're going to be singing and rejoicing and singing a song of Moses as you did during the time of the first Exodus. You can read about that song in Exodus, the 15th chapter. So I want to, Revelation chapter 15, and I'm going to read 2. Or you want to read it?
I'll read it. Verse 2.
Yeah.
Revelation chapter 15, verse 2. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints.
Right, he is the King of saints. And that sea of glass that it's talking about is the firmament. Because the firmament is glass. All right? Meaning it's clear and it's firm, it's strong. How do you know that? Go to Job chapter 37 and 18. Job chapter 37 and 18. Let's prove it to you out the scriptures. All right? Job 37 and 18.
Job chapter 37, verse 18. Hast thou with him spread out the sky, with which is strong, and as a molten looking glass?
Right, that sky, that firmament is strong, and it's like a molten looking glass, and that's what covers the earth. So when we stand upon that sea of glass mingled with fire, that's the sky, that's the firmament. All right? Now let's get another one. Let's go to Sirach chapter 43 and 1. All right, you got it?
Nah.
Or you want to pull it up on here?
I'll put it.
Sirach chapter 43 and 1.
Sirach chapter 43, verse 1. The pride of the height, the clear firmament.
The what?
The clear firmament, the beauty of heaven, which is glorious, which his glorious shew.
Right. So that's the pride of height, the clear firmament. So that's how we're going to be able to look down and see that glass. See that fire in those kingdoms destroyed, because it's going to be clear firmament, that sea of glass mingled with fire. All right. Now from there, let's go to the book of. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to close out and continue on with the second part. All right, Shalom Israel, Shalom. We went into part 1, going into the second Exodus. Now we're going to finish up by going into the second wilderness. All right, Revelation chapter 21 And let me pull it up on here. Revelation 21:1. So we went into what ancient Egypt was. We went into what modern Egypt is, how we got delivered out of ancient Egypt, how we're going to get delivered out of modern day Egypt. You understand? And then we showed you how we're going to get beamed up in a chariot. That's going to be the form of our second Exodus. We're going to be above that firmament for about an hour, and then we're going to get beamed back down out of these chariots. And where we're going to get beamed back down in? We're going to get beamed back down into the wilderness. That's what we're showing you right now. Revelation chapter 21 and 1.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
Right, so the first new heaven and the new earth is not an actual new heaven or new earth, because the Lord said in Ecclesiastes, one generation cometh and another generation goeth, but the earth abideth forever. All right, and a new heaven, a new earth represents new rulership, new dominion, new sovereignty over the earth, setting up a new people to govern this earth in righteousness, man. Because the Lord sets up who governs the earth. Let me show you that real quick, because people think we're going to vote. Wisdom of Solomon 6:1. People think that we're going to choose, that we choose who's going to govern the earth. Oh, I'm going to do a vote, or I should vote again, and oh man, my vote doesn't count. Yeah, you're right, your vote doesn't count, because the Most High sets up who's in charge. All right, we're going to start at Wisdom of Solomon 6:1 and show you that.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6 verse 1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand, learn, ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Give ear, you that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. For power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest, who shall try your works, and search out your counsels.
Right, kings and judges, power is given unto them to rule the earth, to rule the heavens and the earth from the highest, from the Most High. That's why Daniel 4 says he sets up over even the basis of men. All right, so the Lord sets up men to govern the earth, and that new heaven and the new earth is going to be established by the kings and princes and governors of the nation of Israel, or Yahweh Shah himself being the chief king and David on the earth. All right, now from there, let's go to the book of let's go back to Revelation 21. All right, to show you about us getting beamed out. Oh, actually, let's go to Isaiah 52, because it showed you. He said he saw that holy city coming down out of heaven. Let's show you that holy city is not an actual holy city, with buildings and a damn plumbing system and windows and a skyscraper with, a mailbox. And it's not talking about an actual city with streets. That holy city coming down is a nation of people, which are the elect of the nation of Israel. They're going to get beamed down back on the earth. And we're known as the holy city because we're a people, for we're a place. Let's go to that in the book of Isaiah chapter 52. Let me pull it up on here real quick. Isaiah chapter, so the people can see. Isaiah chapter 52 and 2. Wait, Isaiah 52. Slakia Israel. All right, go on and read that.
Isaiah chapter 52 verse 2. Shake thy
52 and 1. Slakia.
52 and 1. Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city.
The what?
The holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean.
Right, so awake, awake, like the Lord said in Romans 13 and 11. Awake, you understand? All right. It says, what did it say in Romans 13 and 11?
Now it's high time.
Yeah, awake. I can't remember off the top of the head. You're going to read it though. Romans 13 and 11. But now it's high time to awake out of sleep. Something like that. Romans 13 and 11.
Romans chapter 13 and 11. And that knowing the time,
right,
that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe.
That's what it means to awake. Awake out of these false philosophies and out of these false religions and damn nationalities, and put on thy strength, man. First, put on your beautiful garments, which is just these commandments. There's wisdom and knowledge. That's the beautiful garments. O Jerusalem, the holy city. Where that holy city? Because an actual city can't put on garments, man. And your strength is Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. For henceforth there shall no more come unto thee the uncircumcised and unclean. I bring it up.
Never mind.
All right, go to Luke. Luke chapter 17. Another precept to show you that Israel is that holy city that John saw coming out of heaven. Luke chapter 17 and 20, right? Luke 17 and 20. Let's pull that up. So we're showing you precepts about that holy city getting beamed back down on the earth out of these chariots. Because people, I believe Jehovah's Witnesses teach that an actual city is coming down. It's symbolic.
Luke chapter 17, verse 20. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation.
Meaning you can't just sit down and wait around for the kingdom of heaven to come. You understand? You have to put in the work. You have to build up yourself and go out there in the highways and byways and build up your body and build up the nation of Israel and restore this temple as in the days of old. You can't just sit around and wait. Go on.
Neither shall they say, lo here or lo there. For, behold, the kingdom of God is within you.
So we are that holy city. Israel is that kingdom. And that's what Yahushua was teaching the people. Alright, so let's go back to Revelation 21 one more time. Revelation chapter 21. And let's read 1.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 1.
2.
Verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
Right, because we're espoused and married to Yahushua. And we're going to come down out those chariots. Now from there, let's go to the book of Jeremiah 31 and 1. All right, now we're getting down to it. Jeremiah chapter 31 and 1. All right, getting into these wilderness precepts. Where it's going to be at, what's going to take place. All right, this is where it gets interesting.
Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 1. At the same time said the Lord, will I be the God of all of the families of Israel, and they shall be my people.
All right, all Israel.
Thus saith the Lord, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness.
In the what?
In the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest.
Right, so the people that survived martial law, Jacob's trouble, and narrowly escaped the destruction, they went and found grace in the wilderness, meaning the time period for you to get yourself together and get down with this new world order, a righteous new world order. All right, that's what's going to take place in the wilderness. All right, and we're going to get beamed back down in the wilderness, where the Lord is going to cause us to rest for a moment of time. From there, let's go to the book of Micah chapter 7 and 14. All right, so there is a second wilderness. The wilderness is not, it's not going to be South America like certain people say. You're not going to get beamed down in South America, rest for a minute, get beamed back up on the chariots, go land in Israel, and build the kingdom up in Israel. No. All right, it don't work like that. The wilderness is not going to be in South America. This isn't the wilderness now. The wilderness will be where it's going to show you. Let's read it. Micah the 7th chapter and the 14th verse. That's why we're going to paint the picture through these precepts. All right, you should understand by these precepts we're bringing out. It should be without a shadow of a doubt. Micah 7 and 14. Actually, start at 13.
Notwithstanding, the land shall be desolate because of them that dwell therein, for the fruits of their doing.
Right, because that whole, not only is America going to be laid desolate, certain nations are going to be made desolate. Certain nations are actually not going to get hit with bombs, but the majority of the earth is going to be destroyed, pursuant to Zephaniah the 3rd chapter. All right, it says the whole earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Paraphrasing it. And what else is going to be laid desolate? That land of Israel. All right, it's going to be a complete desolate wilderness. It's going to be a complete desert land. No vegetation, no growth, no building, no palaces. You understand? All those so-called Jews, they're going to get bombed up out of that land. You can read a more detailed account of that in Ezekiel, the 30th chapter, about Gog and Magog and that great shaking in the land of Israel. So that whole land of Israel is going to be made a desolate wilderness. We're going to get beamed back down in that desolate land of Israel, and there's a certain spirit on that land, and the Lord is going to restore that land to look like the Garden of Eden again. All right? So the Lord is going to allow us to plant those trees, and there's an actual spirit in that land that I'm going to show you that land is going to be restored back as it was during the time of Adam. And Yahushua, he himself is going to be in that second wilderness. And David is going to be in that second wilderness. The 12 apostles, governors and judges, and pastors and leaders are going to be in that second wilderness. You're going to have certain men that rebel and die in the second wilderness. All right? It's going to be a lot going on in the second wilderness. All right? So that whole land of Israel, that's where the second wilderness will be at. But the Bible specifies certain locations. All right? It specifies a certain part, mainly the northern part of Israel. And I'm going to show you that through various precepts around like Bashan, Gilead, Mount Carmel, the plain of Sharon and Achor, mainly north of Samaria. That's mainly where the wilderness will be at. But am I making it up? No, I'm showing you through precepts. Let's show you right now, Micah 7 and 14. So I showed you in 13 that this land is going to be laid desolate. Well, let's go to 14.
Feed thy people with thy rod, the flock of thine heritage, which dwell solitarily in the wood. In the midst of Carmel, let them feed in Bashan and Gilead, as in the days of old.
I read it again.
Feed thy people with thy rod, the flock of thine heritage.
Right, when it says feed thy people with thy rod, the flock of thine heritage, this word feed, this is going into the second wilderness, because it says which dwell solitarily in the wood, in the midst of Carmel. Let them feed in Bashan and Gilead as in the days of old. So this wood represents the wilderness, and that's where we're going to dwell at. So in the wood or in the wilderness, we're going to be fed with the rod of Yahushua, because we're the flock of his heritage, and Yahushua is a shepherd, and the shepherd is in control of his flock. And when it says feed thy people with thy rod, it doesn't literally mean feed your people with a rod. Like here's sheep. I'll pick up some grass with my stick, and I'll feed you with the stick. No, it don't work like that. It's not literal. Feed thy people means rule over your people. Have power over them. You understand? Rule over them with power. But how do you know that? Even in your Bible, it gives you a footnote. And where it says feed thy people, your Bible should give you a footnote. And it says rule over thy people. And I'm going to go to the Hebrew and show you when it says feed, it means to rule over your people. Because Yahushua in the wilderness, he will be there. We will see him face to face. He's going to rule over us with power. Let's go to the blue letter. I can say shout out to GMS for putting us on the blue letter. Alright, feed. Let's go to Micah the 7th chapter. Alright, Micah the 7th chapter and the 14th verse. Let's go into the Hebrew for this word feed. Alright, bear with me 1 second. So the Hebrew word is ra'ah, as you can see right here. Alright. Now, you can see it says what? In the definition, to pasteurize, to feed, to tend to graze. Those are literal, but it's literally it's a figurative term. Because you can't literally feed somebody with a stick, especially sheep. Alright, they eat grass. To pasture, to tend, to shepherd. Alright, this is the definition we want. A ruler, a teacher. Because Yahushua, he's going to be the ruler of the earth. He's going to rule over Israel, man. He's going to have to teach the Israelites the new covenant. All right. What laws are not going to be there? What laws are going to be there? Because not every law is going to be there. Because you have certain laws that pertain into death. You have certain laws like you're going to stone your fellow Israelite with homosexual if he's a homosexual. But you're not going to have Israelites being a homosexual once that new covenant, once these laws are being taught to them. Like, what's another law that's not going to be there? Like, let me think. Deuteronomy 25. I believe it's 25 when it goes into raising up seed for your brother. All right? Or there's plenty of commandments. Like in Deuteronomy 22 and 28, when you lay hold on a woman, you're going to lay hold on a virgin, and then you force her and lie down with her. You have to make her your wife. You're not going to have a need to do that in the kingdom.
Or accidentally killing somebody.
Yeah, you accidentally kill somebody, a damn manslayer. There's going to be a lot of laws and commandments that's going to be taught to Israel, and it's going to be embedded in your inward part. But you're going to have certain Israelites that's not down with it, man. All right, they're going to get rebellious. So the Lord is going to rule over us in the wilderness with fury and wrath. Now, let's go down to this. It says, let's go to the Hebrew Chaldee lexicon. To feed a flock, to pasture, to tend. and figuratively to guard, to take care of, or to rule. That's what the Lord is going to do. He's going to figuratively feed us by ruling over us. All right? And that's how you care for somebody, by ruling over them. Now, I got these precepts, Lakia. Now, this goes into the rod and the staff, because Yahweh Shai, go to Psalms 23 real quick. There's a prayer in Psalms 23 that David said. He said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. When he said the Lord is my shepherd, he's talking about the word of the Lord, i.e. talking about Yahweh Shai himself. He's the chief shepherd. In John 10:11, he said what? I am the good shepherd. All right? And when you go into the history of a shepherd, the shepherd had sticks of instruments that they used to take care of the sheep. Shepherds had a staff, and shepherds had a rod. A rod was used for discipline and for ruling over the sheep if they got out of line. Certain sheep want to bite other sheep or go and stray away. You have a rod and you actually hit the sheep. So in Micah 7 it says, feed thy people with thy rod. It means rule over them with thy rod. But you also had a staff that the sheep had. And the staff was used for guidance. You understand? When a sheep is like going astray a little off the path, you just use the staff and guide them in the right direction. So in Psalms 23, it says what? Thy rod and thy staff comfort me. But let's read it. Psalms 23.
Psalms chapter 23.
Straight to the point where it says thy rod and thy staff. Read one. Just start from the top.
The Lord is my shepherd, I
You
shall
gotta read
not.
up.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters.
Right. So the Lord is our shepherd, and that's the sheep. Jeremiah 50:6, it says, my people have been lost sheep. So Israelites were the sheep, and the Lord leads us into green pastures. So the green pastures is his Bible. From Genesis to Revelation, this is what we feed on. You understand? This is where we get our nourishment from. This is how we eat. This is how we get our vitamins and our spiritual nutrients from these green pastures. A sheep is not going to be content with dwelling in the desert. But the sheep will be content if you put them in a great grassland or green pastures. So that's where the Lord places us. He leads us to these green pastures and his living water. Go on.
He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the sight, in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Come on, Babylon the Great.
I will fear no evil.
Right.
For thou art with me.
Right. The Most High is with us, even in the land of our enemies.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
Thy what?
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
Right. The rod and the staff represents the discipline of the law and the guidance of the Most High, the chastisement and the loving kindness and mercy of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. That's the rod and the staff that comforts you. All right. That's why in this article I got, it says what? When a shepherd is afield with his flock in the high country, it is customary for him to carry a minimum of equipment. This was especially true in the olden times where the sheepmen did not have the benefit of mechanized equipment to transport camp supplies across the rough country. All right. In the Middle East, the shepherd carries only a rod and staff. Some of the most vivid boyhood recollections are those of watching the African herdsmen shepherding their flock with only a long, slender stick and a rough knob carry in their hands. These are the common and universal equipment of the primitive sheepmen. All right, I'll jump down. It says, actually, I'll read on. Each shepherd boy, from the time his first start to tend his father's flock, takes special pride in the selection of a rod and staff exactly suited to his own size and strength. He goes into the bush and selects a young sapling which is dug from the ground. This is carved and whittled down with great care and patience. The enlarged base of the sapling, where its trunk joins the roots, is shaped into a smooth, round head of hard wood. The sapling itself is shaped to exactly fit the owner's hand. After he completes it, the shepherd boy spends hours practicing with this club, learning how to throw it with amazing speed and accuracy. It becomes the main weapon of defense for both himself and the sheep. The rod, in fact, was an extension of the owner's own right arm. It stood as a symbol of strength, his power, and authority in any serious situation. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a serious situation in the wilderness, man. And the Lord is going to have that rod for discipline and correction. The rod was what he relied on to both safeguard himself and his flock from danger. And it was furthermore, here's the point I wanted, the instrument he used to discipline and correct any wayward sheep that insisted on wandering out of the way. You're going to have Israelites that wander out of the way in the wilderness, man. They want to do what they want to do. All right? You can read about that in the whole book of Numbers, man. And that book of Numbers makes you shake your head because Israel always wanted to do what they wanted to do. Well, God, that we was in ancient Egypt. Well, God, that this happened. Well, God, that let's kill Moses and appoint a captain over us and go back into slavery. So the Lord's going to have that rod that's going to discipline Israel in the wilderness, man. But where we're at in the midst of Mount Carmel, Bashan, and Gilead on the northern part of Israel, that's where the beginning of our where we dock at, our spaceships or chariots are going to land at. We're going to come out those chariots and be in that place. And Yahushua is going to be there. He's going to rule over us with discipline of the law. All right. Then I got this article right here. It says the shepherd's rod and staff. All right. It says the rod in biblical times was a 2 to 4 foot club used for defending the sheep from predators and robbers. It was worn in their belt and may resemble a walking stick, but was a weapon tool to provide safety for the flock. The staff was used to hold sheep during shearing and for gentle correction and redirection. Alright. The hook at the top end of the staff was fit around the neck or head of the sheep to reroute them. Alright, so basically you have the rod for gentle correction and a staff for firm discipline. So let's go back to Micah 7:14. Read that one more time. So now we're understanding the dynamics of what a shepherd does and what the rod means.
Micah chapter 7 verse 14. Feed thy people with thy rod.
Right, meaning ruled over them with discipline. Israelites.
The flock of thine heritage.
Right, because we're the lost sheep. When you read Jeremiah 50:6 and Matthew 18:11 and Matthew the 9th chapter, the 36th verse on down.
Which dwell solitarily in the wood.
Right, we're going to be in the wilderness.
In the midst of Carmel.
That's where it's going to be.
Let them feed in Bashan and Gilead, as in the days of old.
So right here we got a map for Mount Carmel, Bashan, and Gilead. Let me get this map right here. All right, right here. You got Mount Carmel where the cursor is. All right. You got Bashan. You got Gilead and Bashan. All right. You got Bashan, Mount Carmel, Gilead. You got this northern part of Israel right here. All right. That's where the wilderness is going to be at. See if I got another map. Right. You got Mount Carmel, Gilead, and Bashan. Same region. Let them feed in Bashan and Mount Carmel as in the days of old. Let's get more precepts. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 65:8-10. We're going to constantly just throw out precepts to show you parts of northern Israel. All right, mainly focusing on Bashan, Mount Carmel, Gilead, and where the wilderness will be at. By backing it up with the scriptures. Isaiah, what did I say, 65? Isaiah chapter 65 and Slakia. Isaiah, 65:8.
Isaiah chapter 65 verse 8. Thus saith the Lord, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one saith, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it. So will I do for my servant's sake, that I may not destroy them all.
Right, because you're going to have a remnant.
And I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob, and out of Judah, an inheritor of my mountains. And mine elect shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there. And Sharon shall be a fold of flocks.
Right, Sharon, northern Israel is going to be a fold for the flocks. Go on.
In the valley of Acre, a place for the herds to lie down in.
Talking about Israel.
For my people that have sought me, but yea.
No, that's it on that. So, but Sharon shall be a fold for flocks, in the valley of Acre, a place for the herds to lie down in. These are physical places in the land of Israel. All right, now where's that at? All right, this is the plain of Sharon right here. All right, let me just pull up my other map. Slakia. Here we go. We got the plain of Sharon right here. Same region with Mount Carmel. All right. Like I said, you got Bashan and Gilead over here. You got Mount Carmel right here and the plain of Sharon. You got this region of northern Israel. The plain of Sharon, Mount Carmel, and Gilead. All right. Israel is going to be as the sands of the sea. And this is a small zoom in. All right. Same thing like ancient Egypt, man. We're going to be from location to location, from location to location, and this second wilderness. All right, same thing as ancient Egypt or the ancient wilderness. So we remember the valley of Achor. That's what the Lord said. All right, which is in this region right here. Now let's go to the book of Isaiah 33 and 8. All right, Isaiah 33 and 8. So the Lord said, and Sharon shall be a fold for flocks, and the valley of Achor a place for the herds to dwell in. I just showed you that on the map. And I'm going to keep bringing the map out to show you. I want Isaiah the 33rd chapter, and I'm going to go to the 8th verse. Let me put it up on here. Isaiah chapter 33 and 8. Precept upon precept, line upon line. Breaking down the wilderness one step at a time.
Isaiah chapter 33 verse 8. The highways lie waste. The wayfaring man ceaseth. He hath broken the covenant. He hath despised the cities. He regardeth no man. The earth mourneth and languisheth. Lebanon is ashamed and hewn down. Sharon is like a wilderness, and Bashan and Carmel shake off their fruits.
Right, the earth mourneth and languisheth, because the earth is going to be destroyed, man. All these lands are going to be wiped out. All right, the majority of these nations are going to get hit by these ICBM missiles, and they're going to be agents for World War III. And the land of Israel is going to be laid waste, man. That's why it says Lebanon is ashamed and hewn down. Sharon is like a wilderness, because that place is going to be what a wilderness would be at. Sharon, Mount Carmel, Gilead, and Bashan and Gomer shake out their fruits. So once that destruction is happening, and the peak of World War III, the Lord said, what? Now will I arise, said the Lord. Now will I be exalted. Now will I lift up myself. All right, and this chapter goes into the destruction, man. All right. Let me see. So this is going into that destruction, but we're showing you where the wilderness is going to be at. We keep reading about Sharon as wilderness, Bashan and Carmel and Gilead, the northern part of Israel. Let's go to the book of Hosea 2 and 14. Hosea, the 2nd chapter, the 14th verse. So the wilderness is going to be in the land of Israel, because the land of Israel will be a made desolate wilderness, but we're specifying certain places where we're going to be at in the second wilderness. Prophesying in part. Hosea 2 and 14.
Hosea chapter 2 verse 14. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness.
Talking about the Lord is going to bring us into this wilderness.
And speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence, at the valley of Achor.
Right, we just read about the valley of Achor. All right, in the book of Isaiah 65. Where's the valley of Achor? Let's pull it up on the map. Let me see if I can pull it up right here. All right. You got this region right here. All right. You got Bashan, Gilead, Mount Carmel, Valley of Achor, and the plain of Sharon right here in the northern part of Israel. Same thing I pull up on this map. All right. Plain of Sharon, Achor, Mount Carmel, Bashan, and Gilead. Northern part of Israel. The Lord said I would give her the valley of Achor for a door of hope. Right over here. All right, we giving you the same regions. The Lord is always, he's not deviating down here or saying over here. He's giving you the same region, the same places, over and over again. Read that again, 2 and 15.
And I will give her her vineyards from thence, in the valley of Achor, for a door of hope, and she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt.
Right.
And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ishi, and shalt call me no more Baali.
Right, Ishi is husband, and Baali means other gods or lords. Go on.
For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth.
Right, the Lord is going to discipline us, and we're not going to be calling on other gods anymore. But you're going to have other people that's still going to be dealing with the places and the gods of these other nations.
And they shall no more be remembered by their name.
Right.
And in that day,
when we're in the wilderness,
I will make a covenant for them with the beast of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely.
Right, so the Lord said, in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field. That covenant is that contract that the Lord has with the beasts of the field. And during the ancient times, or let's say during now, sometimes you could walk down the alley and you see a stray dog, a pit bull, you're going to run for your life. If that pit bull start chasing you, you're going to flee. You're going to hop the fence and run over a car, and he might get you in the leg and you're going to get bit. You know, you go out into the woods and there's mosquitoes everywhere. You want to take that off spray. You want to spray yourself because you get bit by mosquitoes, man. You see a bunch of bees swarming around. You hear the buzzing. You cross the street and go the other way because you fear the beasts of the earth. You understand? Certain birds fly down too close to you. You're going to duck your head. Why? Because you fear the fowls of the air and the beasts of the earth. A damn tarantula walk across your shoulder, you can be like, oh, certain people have heart attacks, man, when they see spiders and snakes and things like that. They actually die. Because the Lord had a contract with the beasts of the earth, or a covenant with the beasts of the earth. Alright, and the beasts of the earth in the ancient world, they didn't attack you. During the time of Adam, you didn't get attacked by a lion or a bit by a shark or stung by mosquitoes or things like that. Alright, you had the beasts of the field that were at one with man. But now people get attacked by beasts, man. Even the plants rise up against man. And they showed you that in that movie, The Happening. Was that Matt Damon? I believe that was Matt Damon in that movie. And
Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg, yeah, I get them mixed up. Mark Wahlberg was in that movie, and the plants, the trees would emit a certain toxin or secrete a certain toxin that would enter into the, I think you would ingest it as a human, and it would cause you to hallucinate and kill yourself and go crazy. Because the earth is rising up against Babylon the Great. Because the earth is an organism. Even these beasts are rising up against Babylon. Alright? But the Lord is going to restore that contract or that covenant with the beasts of the earth, and they're not going to attack us anymore, man. Even the animals, they worship the Most High, man. The animals understand that the Most High is in control of everything. But see, these Edomites, they're atheists. They don't understand. They believe in Scientologists, or they believe in damn robots. They actually made a robot to be a god. What's that book called? The Manual? Yeah. They got a book called The Manual where they worship a robot god.
I think they got to pay tithes and give homage, and they got to give them nuts and bolts.
For real? Oh. Hey, man, that could be a thing. Give them nuts and bolts and damn screwdrivers and stuff like that, man. But I'm going to show you that the animals believe and worship the Most High, man. Alright? Give me Job. You got it?
Job.
Job chapter 12. No, Job 12. Then we're going to get Job 5. I believe it's Job 12 and 3. Alright? Job chapter 12. Because right now, these animals have an idea of who's destroying the earth. They know it's not Jake. When these birds flying up there in the damn sky and they breathing in chemtrails, you understand? And they breathing in damn carbon monoxide, and they falling out the ground, thousands of them at one time. And you watching the news and they talking about, oh, we don't know how 10,000 birds just fell down out the sky. They know what happened. These animals understand that Esau's destroying the earth.
Whales be washing up on the shore.
Right, these whales be washing up on the shore with a gut full of plastic in them, and thousands of fishes washing up on shore. They understand who's destroying the earth because these animals, they believe in the Most High. But I'm going to show you that.
Yeah, hold on, that's crazy. I seen on Twitter too. Somebody said the exact same thing. Even animals are tired of the white man, and the dude wasn't being in the truth. Right. Because sharks started attacking a whole bunch of fishermen.
Yeah, I seen it. Them sharks was rising up against them. Because the earth is rising up against them, man. And we're part of the earth. What's that? Job 12 and started 6. 6. Yeah, my bad.
Job chapter 12 verse 6. The tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke God are secure.
Talking about Esau living lavishly, not getting judged.
Into whose hand God bringeth abundantly.
Right.
But ask now the beasts, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. Right,
you can ask the beast, you can ask certain, you don't physically ask an animal and it teaches you, but you can learn from animals through observation. Right, if you, there's a book, scripture in Proverbs for a sluggard or a lazy man. The Lord said in Proverbs, I believe it's the 6th chapter, he said, go consider the ants, O sluggard, and be wise. Why would the Lord tell a lazy man to go look at ants and then become wise? Because the ants are constantly moving, man. The ants don't take napping and take days off and say, I don't feel like doing this today. I don't feel like carrying a leaf and building up the damn anthill today. They work wintertime, summertime, fall time, and springtime. So if it's a lazy man's watching those ants, he's going to consider that they're always working, and then he may consider himself, I should always be working. When people actually, when they say the early bird catches the worm, that's an actual thing that somebody saw, man. They was probably out there in the field and saw a worm come up. Then they saw one bird catch the worm and eat the worm. Then another bird came about 10 seconds later and tried to get the same worm, but didn't get it. Because the first one got there. Then he came up with that saying. So he asked the beasts of the earth, and they taught him that by observation. They call that naturalism. I believe Charles Darwin, an Edomite, did that too, man. He went out there and he was a naturalist, and he observed the birds and the beaks that they had, and it taught him certain things about man. It taught him lies, because he didn't understand. He came with that evolution.
He said we come from monkeys and monkey nuts.
Yeah. They deceived him. Now, another concept I wanted to talk. I can't remember what it was, but the Lord deals with trees a lot. When you understand the scriptures, the Lord refers to men as trees. So let's say you got a brother that's low in the faith, you understand, he's slacking, he's not reading and studying enough. You take him to a forest, and then you show him tall trees, man. You show him tall oak trees, tall maple trees. You show him fruit trees that have fruit, that have a whole bunch of leaves on them, a whole bunch of branches on them. And then you show him a tree that's cut down. You can tell that man, that's going to be you, man. You could be that tree that's cut down, or you could be this tree that's prosperous. And you watch that tree grow through water, through nourishment and sunlight, and it's supposed to teach that man through the scriptures and knowledge and wisdom, he's going to grow and become that tree. The Lord refers to men as trees because you ask the beasts of the earth, and you observe nature is there for a reason. You know, Jake always on a phone, and you on Instagram, you're always looking at the screen. You're supposed to go out there in nature and be wise. That's why Isaac went out in the field in Genesis 24, and was meditating in the field. He didn't go enter into a damn closet. He went to meditate in the field. That's what the Lord said in Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. All right. So read that again, 7.
Job chapter 12 verse 7. But ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. Or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath brought this?
Right. And you know another thing on that, Jake, when they went to certain parts of China and Japan, they taught those Moabites kung fu, and they would have a thing like crouching lion. I find it like crouching lion, or serpent, drunken serpent or something like that, or monkey fist or things like that, because they would consider those animals, and or praying mantis. They would look at those animals' nature and apply it to a fighting style to destroy their enemies. That's asking the earth things, and it teaches you certain things. And these beasts tell you what? Read that again.
Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this?
Right, go on.
In whose hand?
You gotta read up. It's not gonna pick up your sound.
In whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind.
Right, so the beasts of the field and the fishes, they know that the Most High is the controller of all of their souls and spirits, man. They understand that. It's not deep for them. It's common sense for them. Just like it is for the hopeful elect. Go to Psalms 104 and 20. Let me show you again. Psalms chapter 104 and 20. All right. Psalms chapter 104 and 20. Another precept to show you that the animals believe and worship the Most High. Start at 19. Or 20, my bad.
Psalm chapter 104 verse 20. Thou makest darkness, and it is night, wherein all the beasts of the forest do creep forth. The young lions roar after their prey, and seek their meat from God.
No, seek their meat from man.
From God.
Why do the young lions seek their meat from God? Because they understand that the Most High is the controller of all things, man. They understand that.
It's like in Matthew. I get it. It's
6 and 25. Yeah. About the fowls of the air. Right? So they understand, these different beasts of the earth understand that Yahweh Bashmi Awashai, he controls all of this, man. The spirits, the water, the fishes, the prey. You know, when you die, you have certain animals that only operate when they only eat dead things, man. They call them scavengers, or they call them detrivores, or decomposition animals. They only eat things that die. So these animals cannot eat unless certain things die. So the Lord has to take the life of certain creatures so these animals can eat. He ordains a feast for them, and they eat, man. You know, you walk past a dead carcass, it's a whole bunch of animals. You have ants there, beetles, maggots, all animals out there eating, having a feast, because the Lord allows them to eat during that time.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 25.
Yeah, Matthew. Let me pull it up. Matthew chapter 6 and 25. You can pull it up. Yeah, you got it.
Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body more than raiment?
Go on.
Slakia, and the body than raiment? Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they?
Right, so the birds don't trip and say, I don't know if I'm going to get food today. They start stressing out and sweating. Write a list of their mortgage. I got to pay the rent, and I don't know if I got enough money for groceries. I got to get a nest, and then they don't worry about stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
They have something called instinct. All right, where the Lord embedded these spirits to do certain things, man. They don't trip and stress over food like man does. They understand that the Most High gives them their food.
Yeah, Jake at school or in my classes be like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna pass. I don't know if I'm gonna do this in a third. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Just lacking faith. It's just literally, that's what it comes down to. Just lacking faith.
All right, now from there, let's go to the Job 5. Straight to the point. Job 5 about the covenant. Slakia, Job
23.
All right, bring it out.
Job chapter 5 verse 23.
So we talked about that in the wilderness, the Lord is going to make a covenant with the beasts of the field. So back then, like I said, you didn't get attacked by animals and lions and bears, and you didn't have to set up bear traps and wear offspray. Back then, the animals were at peace with man. Right? Go on.
For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee.
Right, so this chapter goes from 17 on down to the end, goes into the transition and periods of time over Israel, about Jacob's trouble, getting delivered, famine and death and destruction. And 23 deals with us in the wilderness, about being at peace with the beasts of the field. Now from there, let's go to the book of Isaiah 11 and 6. All right. So, yeah, you got to know the milk, and you got to understand not eat pork, and it's simple things, but you also have to understand the nature of things, man. All right, the scriptures are manifold. What is that? Isaiah 11 and 6. Let's get that real quick. Isaiah 11 and 6. This is talking about in the wilderness and in the kingdom. Go on.
Isaiah chapter 11 verse 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them.
So how can a wolf dwell with a lamb? The wolf and the lamb are damn enemies, man. They tell you that in that story, the boy that cried wolf, man. Because the wolf comes down and eats lambs for dinner. So in the kingdom and in the wilderness, you're going to have a time period, which is going to be forever, where animals are not going to eat each other. Even during the time of Genesis, they all ate one thing, which was the herbs of the grass. Everybody were vegetarians back then. Tigers ate straw and grass, and lions ate grass and hay. They ate the same thing that lambs ate. So in the kingdom, they're going to eat the same thing. They're going to go back to being vegetarians. All right, even man back then were vegetarians. All man and beast ate the same thing. They ate the tree that yielded fruit with seeds in it. Even vegetables that had seeds. Or do vegetables have seeds? Well, they grow. They got seeds on a damn scientific level. So it says, the wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion together, and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. So you're going to have a little child leading a wolf and a lamb. This is literal. Go on.
And the cow and the bear shall feed.
So you have a cow eating side by side with a bear. Go on.
Their young ones shall lie down together.
And they show you that now. That's kind of happening now. You can go on YouTube and they show you certain movies, clips about certain animals that are complete opposites living together. Like I saw a monkey giving a lion a massage.
Yeah.
Or you show a cat and a dog best friends. Or a reindeer and a lion living together. Because the Lord is restoring the spirit of the earth back in the ancient times. Go on.
And the lion shall eat straw.
The lion shall what?
Eat straw, like the ox.
So the lion is going to go back to eating straw and plants like it did during the time of Genesis.
And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the ass.
Right, meaning snakes going to be playing with children.
And the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den.
So you're not going to have to you're not going to worry about getting bit by a snake anymore, man. If you get bit by a snake, it's not going to happen anymore. And Paul was a man that actually had that spirit, because when you read about Acts, Paul got bit by a snake. Didn't he get, what island did he get? Island of Malta, I believe. And there was a bunch of pagans there, and they were warming by the fire, and the snake came up and bit Paul's hand. But Paul just shook it off, because the Lord, Paul already saw the kingdom. He already went up to the heavens, man. He already went through this before. You already know what's going on. That's why the snake didn't hurt him. And I think they thought Paul, they said, what manner of man this is? And they was worshiping Paul. They was worshiping Paul and Barnabas. They called him Jupiter and Apollo or Hermes or Mercury. They called him one of them. All right, so from there, we show you about the beasts of the field and what's going to happen in the wilderness. Go to Genesis 9. Genesis 1 and 29. All right, Genesis chapter 1 and 29. So a main thing in the wilderness is you're not going to have to worry about a bear sneaking in your tent and destroying you and all that. The Lord is going to cause the evil beast to cease out of the land. All right, Genesis 1 and 29.
Genesis chapter 1 verse 29.
Yeah, you got it. Good. Slack it, Israel. You read it.
And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
He said, man, he's supposed to eat vegetation. Go on.
And to every beast of the earth,
even to the beasts of the earth,
and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so.
So all animals ate vegetation. Because right now you actually have animals that only eat feces. Like they got dung beetles and certain animals that only eat your waste, man. They can't wait till you damn use the bathroom so they can eat your waste. You got birds that are cursed and they got to eat worms. You understand? We got to eat the defiled food of this land. All right, so everything in that instant is going to go back to being a vegetarian.
It was an apple the other day. It wasn't turning brown at all.
Right.
Usually when you take a few bites out of it, it turned brown. Was that the lack of oxygen?
Something like that, yeah.
And then there was something else. You drink some water or something, your face start breaking out. The water all tainted.
Right, they got lead all in the water, shrimp all in the water.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go back to our original estate. Go to Ezekiel 34 and 25. Ezekiel chapter 34 and 25. So this is a good component about what's going to happen in that wilderness. Adriel, you can hop in whenever. You got precepts. I said you got precepts. You throw them in.
I'm here to talk to myself.
Huh?
I'm here to talk to myself.
Con. All right, Ezekiel 34 and 25.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 25. And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and will cause the evil beasts to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness, and sleep in the woods.
Right, in Micah 7 it says they dwell solitarily in the wood. Like I said, that's the same thing as this wilderness. We're going to dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the wood, and the Lord is going to cause all those evil beasts to cease out of the land. Not have to worry about a damn scorpion and a damn viper trying to bite you, man. All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 32 and 8. All right, let's get back into it. We talked about the covenant. One of the main things that's going to happen in the wilderness is the Lord going to restore that contract with that covenant with the beasts of the earth. They're going to go back to original state, and you're not going to have to worry about getting attacked by beasts in the wilderness. That's one of the main things I wanted to touch on. Let's go to something else. Isaiah chapter 32 and 8. We already breaking down the location. Now we're giving more precepts for the location. painting the picture and bringing it to life through the precepts. Isaiah 32 and 8. 32 and Slakia. Is that what I want? 33 and 8? Try Isaiah 33 and 8.
Isaiah chapter 32 verse 8.
33. I think that's what I want. Yeah.
33 verse 8. The highways lie waste, the wayfaring man ceaseth. He hath broken the covenant. He hath despised the cities. He regardeth no man. The earth mourneth, and languisheth. Lebanon is ashamed, and hewn down. Sharon is like a wilderness, and Bashan and Carmel shake off their fruit.
Right, meaning that land of Israel is going to get destroyed. Read on. And it's going to be made a wilderness. That whole land of Israel is going to be made a desolate wilderness.
Now will I rise, saith the Lord. Now will I be exalted. Now will I lift up myself.
All right, let's sit on that. Now let's go to the book of Isaiah 35 and 1. So we're going to be in that desolate land of Israel, and the Lord's going to cause the evil beast to cease out of that land first and foremost. All right, and then you're going to see Yahushua face to face. Isaiah 35 and 1. I'm still giving you precepts on the location. Let me show you them on the map again. Sharon, Mount Carmel, Gilead, Bashan. All right, where the region where the wilderness is going to be at. All right, I got on this map right here where the cursor is Bashan. You understand? Gilead. All right, Bashan. These mountains, this region right here. All right, just giving you a visual. More zoomed in visual. Bashan, where the Carmel is. I mean, where the cursor is. Lucky. Bashan right here. Gilead, this region right here. Give you another visual. Mount Carmel, Bashan, Gilead, painting the picture for you. We keep reading about the valley of Achor, Sharon, Bashan, Gilead, this region right here. You keep reading about the same precepts. Let's see if we can see anything different. What does it say? Isaiah 35 and 1. Let's read it.
Isaiah chapter 35 verse 1.
You need that light?
Nah. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them.
Right, that's why Micah 7:14 it says, which dwells solitarily in the wood. That wood is that same wilderness. I just showed you that in Ezekiel 34 and 25. It should dwell safely in the wilderness and in the wood. Same thing in Isaiah 35 and 1. The wilderness and solitary place shall be glad for them, for the Israelites. Go on.
And the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose.
Right, because right now that land is a desert land, but it's going to blossom. The Lord has a certain spirit on that land. He's going to restore that land to look like it did during the days of Adam, his wife, when they dwelt in the Garden of Eden, because that's where the Garden of Eden was, in the land of Israel. All right. If you had the Garden of Eden in the beginning, you're going to have the Garden of Eden in the kingdom. If Adam had to till the land and dress and keep the Garden of Eden and teach the nations the commandments, you're going to have Adam do the same thing again as Yahushua. No new thing is under the sun. So why would the wilderness be anywhere else except the desert land or the land of Israel to build it back up to the kingdom? All right, go on.
The glory of Lebanon.
Read 2 again.
It shall blossom abundantly.
Right, that land from that desert state is going to blossom abundantly. Now, look, I got this picture right here. You look up the land of Israel, it's a desert land. Why? Because the real Jews are in that land. Even in 2 Kings, the 17th chapter, you know it's the spirit in that land, because when the king took the northern kingdom out of that land, and he placed Hamites in that land from different regions, what happened to those people? The Lord sent lions against them. Because the real people of that land wasn't keeping the laws and commandments. And the people of that land are not Israelites. When you read about the account in 2nd Ezra, the 9th and 10th chapter, there is a woman who was crying and was she moaning for her son? Mm-hmm. Was that right? Yeah. But that woman was really Israel. And it's personifying Israel as a woman. Because there's a spirit in that land. Right? And then you can read about in Baruch, the 4th chapter tells you about Jerusalem, telling you about, oh, my precious sons, the Lord has carried you away, but he's going to restore you again, right? Because Israel is a spirit. I mean, that land has a spirit on it. All right? It's not a land like America where it can't grow, or Europe and don't have no resources. That's a land flowing with milk and honey. So the Lord has a spirit on that land, and that land is going to flourish and blossom abundantly. All right? So I'm showing you pictures about what the land looks like now. This is not what it's going to look like in the kingdom. It's not going to look like a desert land. Look at this. Look like a complete desert.
Yeah.
Hiking through the Holy Land, Israel. Look, man, the Lord is not going to have us dwell in a damn desert. All right? When we there is going to blossom abundantly. You're going to read about how the Lord is going to plant different types of trees, and because you need trees in the kingdom, man. You need trees to cleanse the air. What does the tree do? Takes in the carbon dioxide and the different chemicals out the air, and it gives you fresh oxygen. You need different types of trees and stuff, man. We're not going to have big factories in the kingdom giving out smoke and big Mack trucks with the black smoke coming out the top, and we're not going to have that, man.
We about to eat a whole bunch of fruit we usually don't eat. Everybody know about apples, bananas,
Right.
the basics, but like some exotic stuff.
Right, what's that scripture with the tree, let me show you that real quick. I don't know it by heart, but it's in Numbers. Where the grapes were the size of it took 2 men to carry grapes. Let me see. Here it is, Numbers 13 and 23. So back then the grapes would have like the size of basketballs or like a watermelon. All right, Numbers 13 and 23. All right, yeah, let's read that.
And they came unto the brook of Eshcol, and cut down.
This one, Israel went into the promised land when the Lord sent out spies from one spy from each tribe, from Judah on down or Ephraim, to go into the promised land, and they had to bring back things as a souvenir, for lack of better terms. Go on.
And cut down from thence a branch with a cluster of grapes, and they bare it between two upon a staff.
So it took 2 men to carry a cluster of grapes. Them grapes had to be the size of basketballs. You didn't have, you look at an apple, and you could buy what they call them, mini apples.
Yeah.
You don't have many apples in the kingdom. You're not gonna have many apples, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the apple's gonna be like the size of a damn volleyball with seeds in it. All right. It took 2 men to carry a cluster of grapes. Go on.
And they brought of the pomegranates and of the figs. The place was called the brook of Eshcol because of the cluster of grapes which the children of Israel cut down from thence.
And that was in the land of Israel, man. And that was when heathen was in the land. How much more that How much more that land is going to be blessed when we in that land? That's what the Lord says is going to blossom abundantly. Read 2 again, Isaiah 35 and 2.
Isaiah chapter 35 verse 2. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with the joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God.
All right, man. We keep reading about Sharon, Carmel, and Lebanon. Where's Lebanon at? Where's the map at?
Right there.
It's right here. This one I want. You got Lebanon, Mount Carmel, Plain of Sharon, same region. The Lord didn't switch it up by adding Lebanon. It's the same region, northern part of Israel. All right. And the excellence of Carmel is twofold because the Lord always personifies, or not personify, he used Lebanon or the excellency of Lebanon to signify anything beautiful.
Right.
Like the cedars of Lebanon. You understand? All right. So it's twofold, but it's also physical, on a physical level. All right. This is where the wilderness is going to start at. This place right here. All right, where the cursor I keep circulating. I'm going to keep going to the map to show you. All right. Go on.
Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert.
So Israel right now is a people. We're a wilderness. You understand? We don't have a living water. We don't have that nourishment, that dew to keep us alive, to have the knowledge of commandments. You only have a certain amount of us that have that living water, but the rest of our people are in that desert state. But physically on that land, it's a desert. I just showed you pictures of that, and you already know that land is at a drier state. But the Lord is going to have waters and rivers and trees, and it's going to blossom up and look like the Garden of Eden again. All right. For in the wilderness shall waters break out and streams in the desert. Go on.
And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. And the habitation of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes.
So that's a physical thing that's going to happen. We're going to have reeds and rushes and bushes and vegetation grow up, man. It's going to be spectacular. and the Lord can hasten it in His time. All right, from there, let's go to the book of Zephaniah 3 and 8. All right, to show you more precepts about this whole land going to be destroyed. All right, even that land of Israel. Zephaniah. Actually, we don't have to get it. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah 50 and 18. Well, we're just about done. Jeremiah chapter 50 and 18. All right, so we give you the location. We showed you about the covenant, the beasts of the field. Now we give you specific location and what's going to happen. Jeremiah chapter 50 and 18. You can read it from here if you don't got it.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 18. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his hand,
and his land.
Oh, and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria.
Right, the king of Babylon represents Esau. And you don't have an actual one king that governs his land. You have something called an oligarchy, which is an elite set of rulers that govern his land. That represents the king of Babylon, that set of men. Go on.
And
known as the elites, the so-called Illuminati, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. What's the other big banker family? The
Eisenhower.
The who?
Eisenhower.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that one.
You heard of that? Eisenhower.
You heard of the Oxenheimers? Oh, Oppenheimers.
Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And I will bring Israel again to his habitation.
So our habitation is not South America. Our habitation is the land of Israel. I will bring Israel again to his habitation.
And he shall feed on the Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead.
So where is Bashan, Mount Carmel, and Gilead again? Where are we going to feed at? Where is the Lord going to place us at? Keep showing you right here. Let me pull up one of my favorite maps. Right here. All right, you got the mountains. You got Bashan, Mount Gilead. You understand? Mount Carmel. You got this region right here, man. You got Lebanon right here. These are all, huh?
It's big.
Yeah. You got this region right here, man. Now, I don't know if the Lord's going to have us go from here to here to here to here, but I'm giving you an idea of where the wilderness will be at. You understand? I'm giving you an overall location of where it's going to be at. Mount Carmel, Bashan, and Gilead. All right. Now the Lord can have us go from here, from Mount Carmel to Bashan, or then go from Gilead to wherever, man. Eventually, we're going to end up in Jerusalem, end up in Mount Zion, but we're not going to start there first. We're going to start up here and get the laws and commandments, and then we're going to fill the land. All right. The Lord is going to distribute the land by lot. When you understand Ezekiel, the latter chapters, the same way Joshua distributed the land by lot, the Lord is going to have the land of Israel be distributed by lot. So we're not going to go into Jerusalem yet because the land has to be distributed by lot. So it's going to start here. All right. Let's go to the book of, what do I want? Zechariah 10 and 8. Zechariah 10 and 8. So Jeremiah said, I will bring Israel again to his habitation, the land of Israel. He shall feed on Carmel and Bashan. His soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. I'm giving you that location and showing you that on the map. All right, so we paint the picture. We keep reading about Bashan and Gilead, Mount Carmel, and northern Israel. Give you an overall location. Precept upon precept. Zechariah 10 and 8.
Zechariah chapter 10, verse 8. I will hiss for them and gather them, for I will have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased.
All right, we're going to go back to being as the sands of the sea. Read on.
And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries, and they shall live with their children and turn again.
Go on.
I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt.
Talking about America.
And gather them out of Assyria.
Symbolic for America again.
And I will bring them into the land of Gilead.
And I will bring them to South America.
Gilead.
I will bring them into the land of Gilead.
And Lebanon. And place shall not be found for them.
I think that's a cut right there.
Yeah.
He just said I will bring them into the land of Gilead. That's not a spiritual land.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a spiritual land.
Spiritual.
But he's literally going to bring us into the land of Gilead, Lebanon, Bashan, and Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
The northern land of Israel, man. He just said, I'm going to bring you there. All right, this region right here.
What precept says South America?
I don't know. Look, man, I don't know. They say South America. GMS said South America. I'm not sure what any other camp said, but it would make sense. It would make sense for the Lord to put us back in that land that's desolate, and we would have to build up that land.
Right.
Not take 4 trips and pit stops and gas stops and get up and get back on the chariot. Oh, you left your notebook and come on, man, hurry up, you're about to leave.
I want to drive back seat. I want to be in the back seat. Come on, man.
Right, it don't make sense for that to happen. So the Lord, let's read that again real quick. Zechariah 10:10.
I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt.
Right, Egypt and Assyria represent terms of captivity. Not only America, but the other lands where the Israelites are scattered abroad.
And gather them out of Assyria.
Right.
And I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall not be found up for them.
Right, I mean there's going to be an innumerable amount of us there. All right, let's show you that on the map again. I want to keep showing you the map to paint the picture. Mount Carmel, Bashan, Gilead, this region right here. All right, these are mountains. This is an elevated land. Let's see if I got another map. All right, Mount Carmel, Bashan and Gilead, and Lebanon, this northern part of Israel. All right, from there.
You get Zechariah?
Yeah, we just read Zechariah 10:8. Go to Isaiah chapter 32 and 12. We about to close up in a minute. Isaiah chapter 32 and 12. All right, Isaiah 32 and 12. Slakia. Isaiah, dang. Hold on, Israel, bear with me 1 second. I don't even know what just happened. I don't know about Cal Atlantic Homes.
I do.
Okay. Isaiah chapter 32 and 12. Let's read that.
Isaiah chapter 32 verse 12. They shall lament for their tents,
For the
teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine,
Right?
upon the land of my people.
Which is the land of Israel, upon the land of my people.
Shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city.
Some of Israel is going to be laid waste. It's going to be destroyed in World War III. Go on.
Because the palaces shall be forsaken, the multitude of the city shall be left. The forts and towers shall be for dens forever, a joy of wild asses, a pasture of flocks.
Right, that land is going to be a wilderness. That's what it's saying. Go on.
Until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest.
So the Lord is going to pour that Spirit back on that land, man. Not only on us, the people, but on that physical land. And that land is going to be counted as a fruitful field and esteemed a forest. Because there's an actual spirit the Lord is going to put back on that homeland of Israel once the Israelites are dwelling there. And it's going to be counted as a forest. You're going to have the palm trees like they had in Jericho. I know they was known for its palm trees. The cedars of Lebanon, the cypress tree, any those trees from the Middle East, they're all going to be planted in that land. The fir tree, the box tree. All right. And it's going to be counted for a forest when the Spirit is poured upon us from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Go on.
Then judgment shall dwell in the wilderness.
Then what?
Then judgment shall dwell in the wilderness.
So you're going to have actual judgment in the wilderness. What's going to be judgment? When Yahushua is there correcting us, teaching us the laws and commandments. You have certain people getting put to death in the wilderness. It says, then judgment shall dwell in the wilderness and righteousness remain. Because the people that get taken out, they're not the righteous. So when the judgment takes place and the people that get weeded out of the wilderness, the remaining of them are going to be righteous, and they're going to remain in that fruitful field, meaning the land of Israel. Go on.
And the work of righteousness shall
read up.
And the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness, and assurance forever.
Right, because once you survive that second wilderness, that's righteousness, quietness, and assurance forever. Read on.
And my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places.
Right, go on. So we read about judgment taking place in the wilderness because Yahushua is going to be there with that rod to rule over you and correct you. You got people not getting down with the New World Order, the righteous New World Order. Go on. 19.
When it shall hail coming down on the forest, and the city shall be low in a low place. Blessed are ye that sow beside all waters, that send forth thither the feet of the ox and the ass.
Right, because we're going to have our cattle in our land, and that's common sense to take your cattle and send them out of water and things like that, man. You understand? So it's telling you about what's going to take place in the wilderness. Let's go to the book of Are we making progress? Let's go to Isaiah. There's a lot of precepts in Isaiah chapter 29 and 17 through 24. So it says what? Until the Spirit be poured on us from high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and a fruitful field be counted for a forest. Then judgment shall dwell in the wilderness, and righteousness remain in the fruitful field. Now let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 29. What did I say, 17? Let's go to Isaiah 29 and 17.
Isaiah chapter 29, verse 17. Is it not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest?
Now let me pull this up on another app. Isaiah, what was the last one we read? Isaiah chapter, I need that light. You try to turn that light on real quick? Isaiah chapter 32 and 12. Let me pull this up, because I want to show you something, Israel. The what? Isaiah 32 and 15, I believe. All right. It says, this is Isaiah 32 and 15. Until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest. Now the Lord, in this next verse, he's going to replace the word wilderness with Lebanon. So this says, is it not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed a forest. But in this verse, instead of using the word Lebanon, it says the wilderness will be a fruitful field. Why does it do that? Because that's where the wilderness will be at. All right, it's giving you that overall location of where it's going to be at. I'll explain it one more time. Isaiah 32 and 15 says the wilderness will be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field will be counted for a forest, and the Lord backs it up by giving you the location. It says, is it not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed a forest. All right, and in that day shall the deaf hear the words of this book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. All right, the meek shall also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed. You have scoffers and scorners in the wilderness, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. All right, so that's what's going to happen. You're going to have scoffers and scorners in the wilderness, and the Lord is going to cut them off, and righteous people are going to remain. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel 34 and 11. All right, giving you the location. Now, where's Lebanon at? Lebanon is right up here, where the cursor is. I got another map. Lebanon. This wilderness is going to be turned to a fruitful field, and it's going to be counted a forest, back as it was in the days when it was the Garden of Eden. All right. Now let's go to what I say?
34 and 11.
Isaiah 34 and 11. Let me pull it up on here. I mean Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 34 and 11. My bad. Ezekiel 34 and 11. So through thy precepts, we're going to give you the understanding. All right. Ezekiel 34 and 11.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 11. For thus saith the Lord God, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out.
Right, because we're the sheep and Yahweh shall the shepherd. Go on.
As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day.
So the Lord is going to send his angels to deliver the elect from the four winds of heaven. Go on.
And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries.
Right, from Europe, from America, from all the places where we're scattered.
And will bring them to their own land.
Now bring us to South America.
Their own land.
Right, bring us to our own land.
And feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country.
Right, what are those mountains and rivers? I just showed you on the map. Let me pull it up again. These are mountains and rivers. Mount Carmel, you understand? Mount Tabor, Mount Gilbon, Mount Gilead, you understand? Mount Hermon. These are the mountains and rivers. The Jamuk River, the Jordan River, you understand? What is this? The Kishon River, Lake Huron. These are the mountains and rivers in the northern part of Israel where the Lord is going to feed us. Let's read that again. Read that part again. 35 and 13. And 13. 34 and 13.
And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries, and will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country.
All right, these are the mountains and rivers. All right, Gilead, Bashan, Carmel, Valley of Achor, and northern part of Israel. Now from there, let's go to Isaiah 51 and 3. Isaiah chapter 51 and 3. Slack it. Let me pull it up on here. All right, got about 10 more. Isaiah chapter 51 and 3. We breaking down where this wilderness will be at. We showed you the beast of the field, the covenant. All right, the location. Yahweh Shai is going to be there. We're going to get more precepts. Isaiah 51 and 3.
Isaiah chapter 51 verse 3. For the Lord shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. And he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody.
All right, read that again.
For the Lord shall comfort Zion.
Talking about that land.
He will comfort all her waste places.
Because it's going to be made a desert after the destruction of World War III.
And he will make her wilderness.
It's going to be a wilderness.
Like Eden.
It's going to return back to the Garden of Eden.
And her desert. Like,
it's going to be, because it is a desert now.
Like the garden of the Lord.
It's going to return back to that Garden of Eden again.
Joy and gladness shall be found therein.
Because the survivors of the wilderness are going to dwell in that land.
Thanksgiving.
You're going to be thanking the Most High.
And the voice of melody.
You're going to be singing and making dances like they did during the first Exodus.
Hearken unto me.
That's it on that. All right, so that's self-explanatory. Let's go to Ezekiel 36 and 33. All right, Ezekiel 36 and 33, because that's where the Garden of Eden was in the land of Israel, and that's where it's going to be at again. No, the Lord requires that which is past. All right, Ezekiel 36 and 33. Let me pull it up. All right, go on.
Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 33. Thus saith the Lord God, in the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the waste shall be builded.
Right, well, in that wilderness, we're going to have to go round up those nations too and put them in slavery, and they're going to have to build up the waste. They're going to have to, Ezekiel 39 tells you, we're going to sever out men for continual employment to clean up the dead bodies and burn the weapons with fire. We're going to have our slaves out there, you understand? We're going to have some in the pit. All right, you're going to have other nations waiting to get destroyed. And then you're going to have us there, man. All right, the Lord said, I will cause you to dwell in the cities, and the waste shall be built. Go on.
And the desolate land shall be tilled.
Right. Like the Lord said in Genesis 2 and 15, he sent Adam to till that land, or to dress it and to keep it. Go on.
Whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that passed by.
It's going to be destroyed in Armageddon.
And they shall say, this land that was desolate.
So that land that was desolate in the wilderness
is become like the Garden of Eden. And the waste and the desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited.
So we're going to have to build up fences and build up walls and get the nations to build up that kingdom all over again. And it's going to look like what? I keep saying it, the Garden of Eden. What it tells you in Genesis, the 2nd chapter, about the Pison, Gihon, which is the Nile River. Pison is the Red Sea. Tigris in the Euphrates and that Jordan River give you the overall location of the land of Israel. So that land that was desolate and wilderness is become like the Garden of Eden, because that land is going to be a wilderness but restored back as it was during the time of Genesis. Let's go to the book of Psalms chapter 107 and 35. All right, Psalms 107 and 35. I'm trying to shorten it out. Psalms chapter 107. We are right here. We skipped that. We might skip that too. Psalms chapter 107 and 35. So Israel, you should be taking a lot of notes and a lot of precepts and getting an understanding of what's going to happen. All right, we didn't even get to the best part yet. Psalms 107, and start at 1. Actually, let me jump to 34. Yeah.
Psalms chapter 107 verse 34. A fruitful land into barrenness for the wicked of them that dwell therein.
So that fruitful land, Israel, is going to be turned into barrenness. Barrenness, because we was wicked. We got kicked out that land. Go on. And them so-called Jews are wicked. Read on.
He turneth the wilderness into a standing water, and dry ground into water springs. And
So that's why he's going to issue out those waters and those rivers that's going to be dried up. It even tells you in Revelation that the great river Euphrates is going to be dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So he's going to make the wilderness into standing water, and the dry ground, that desert, into pools and springs. You're going to have an oasis and different pools and lakes and things of that nature. Go on.
And there he maketh the hungry.
And there is a location there in the wilderness. There in the wilderness. Go on.
He maketh the hungry to dwell, that they may prepare a city for habitation.
So there in the wilderness, we're going to start preparing a city of habitation. How are we going to start preparing a city for habitation in the wilderness? By having the laws and commandments taught to us again by Yahweh Shai. By rounding up the nations and putting them into captivity. After we get the laws and commandments. You understand? After the wicked are purged out of the wilderness. There in the wilderness, we're going to prepare that city of habitation. Read 35 again.
He turneth the
Now Psalms 107 is a parable. It jumps in and out of mysteries and breaks down things that happened in the scriptures, but it's giving you it in metaphors. All right. So it talks about slavery in this psalm. It talks about us getting delivered from the first verse on down. From 35 on down is going to talk about us being in the wilderness. And I'm painting the picture and showing you and breaking it down to you. Start at 35 again.
He turneth the wilderness into a standing water.
Right, that's self-explanatory.
And dry ground into water springs.
Right.
And there
is the location. There in the wilderness.
He maketh the hungry to dwell.
Because we're going to be hungry in the wilderness, like we was in the first wilderness.
And that they may prepare a city for habitation.
Right.
And so the fields and plants, vineyards, and so the fields and plant vineyards, which may yield fruits of increase.
Right, because we're going to plant things and plant trees, like I said, and plant vineyards and fruits and vines and start building up that. We're going to have to actually do a little bit of work, man. We're going to have to get the slaves and the servants to do some work first, man. All right, they're going to have to plant the vineyards and the things of that nature and grow up that land again. So it could be vegetated again. Now let's go to Numbers chapter 11 and 1. Because the Lord said, there he maketh the hungry to dwell. Because in the we were hungry in the first wilderness. You're going to be hungry again in the second wilderness. But let's give you the account of what happened in the first wilderness. Numbers 11 and 1. All right, go on.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord. And the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled. And the fire of the Lord burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp.
Yeah. Jump to 3.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 3. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them.
Right.
And the mixed of multitude that was among them fell a lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again, and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat?
Go on.
We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers, and the melons, and the leeks, and the onions, and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all beside this manna before our eyes.
Bunch of niggas. They said, man, we remember this melons that we had in slavery, the cucumbers, the leeks. All we got is this food from heaven. This bread from heaven. What is that manna, man? What is this, man? I don't want this manna. And they got offended at that manna, but that manna that came from heaven was Yahweh Shai. He told you that in John the 6th chapter. And Jake always got offended at Yahweh Shai. That's why the Lord was killing him like that. Because he used the bread that came down from heaven. He told you that in John the 6th chapter. And they said, all we got is this bread. All we got is Yahweh Shai. But they didn't know what was going on. That's what it said they tempted the Lord in the wilderness. But when it says in Hebrews, but with many of them in the wilderness was not the Lord well pleased. And they were overthrown because of unbelief. So you're going to have people hungry in the wilderness again. I wish I had a Big Mac. I remember going to the Chinese store. I wish I had me some damn shrimp Alfredo. Jay gonna talk about I wish I had some damn unleavened bread or something clean. Some damn fried chicken. Some what Jake like to eat? Some
chicken, fried chicken, waffles.
Yeah, some waffles. A damn whatever, man. Jay gonna a Chick-fil-A. Jay gonna be complaining about food in the wilderness again. All right, let's go to the book of Exodus 16 and 2. All right, giving you precepts about Jake complaining in the wilderness. And that's what's going to happen in the second wilderness. Jake going to be complaining for lack of food because you're going to be in a desert land. You're going to be in a desert land for a period of time. And you may not have food or water at your convenience. So you're going to be complaining, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. The Lord going to hear you. You're going to get punished.
You better fast and close your mouth or something.
Right. 16 and 2.
Exodus chapter 16 verse 2. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said unto them, would to God we have died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. For ye have brought us forth into this wilderness, to kill this whole assembly with hunger.
So that's what they're going to say again, man. You brought us out of here to kill us, man. We used to eat good in slavery. I used to love being a slave. They call that Stockholm Syndrome. You want to flee back to your slave master.
Yeah.
You just got delivered out of slavery. Now you want to go back into slavery.
Yeah, my master had it good for us.
Right, man. And then you were scoffing and murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. You're going to have the same scoffers in the modern wilderness. All right, so let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 74 and 12. All right, but the Lord is going to the Lord is going to punish those scoffers and scorners in the wilderness. Yahweh Shai himself going to put those wicked men to death in the wilderness. But the righteous, he's going to satisfy their hunger by feeding them. But are you going to have manna in the second wilderness? No, but it is a miraculous thing for you to see bread coming down from heaven. It's going to be another miraculous form of what you're going to eat in the second wilderness. But let's show you what you're going to be eating. Psalms chapter 74 and 12. Guess what you're going to be eating in the second wilderness. Psalms chapter 74 and 12. You're not going to be eating manna. I'm going to break it down. Psalm 74 and 12.
Psalms chapter 74 verse 12. For God is my king of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength. Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters. Thou breakest the head of the heads of Leviathan in pieces.
Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces. Leviathan is an actual creature.
And gavest him to be meat.
Gavest him to be what?
To be meat.
To be meat.
To the people inhabiting the wilderness.
Read that again.
14. Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces, and gavest Leviathan, and gavest him to be meat,
to be food,
to the people inhabiting the wilderness.
So the Israelites in the wilderness, the Lord is going to give you something to eat. What is he going to give you to eat? He's going to give you Leviathan. He's going to break Leviathan in pieces and gave his son to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. All right, let's get another precept to show you that. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter.
You gotta be good.
2nd Ezra. Oh, this don't have it. Let this have the Apocrypha. Man, hold on 1 second. 2nd Ezra 6 and 48. I don't even know what I just typed in. Hold on. All right, let me read it from this. Hold on. 2nd Ezra 6. And another precept to show you about Leviathan. 48.
For the 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 48. For the dumb water and without life brought forth living things at the commandment of God, that all people might praise thy wondrous works.
Right.
Then didst thou ordain two living creatures, the one thou calledest Enoch, and the other Leviathan.
Right. The Lord made man. The Lord also made Behemoth, and he made Leviathan. Go on.
And didst separate the one from the other, for the seventh part, namely where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both.
Right.
Unto Enoch thou gavest one part which was dried up the third day.
It's about man. Go on.
That he should dwell in the same part, wherein are 1,000 hills.
Right.
But unto Leviathan thou gavest the seventh part.
Talking about the water. The seventh part represents the water. Read on.
Namely the moist.
Right. The moist is the water.
And has kept
Leviathan
to be devoured, of whom thou wilt and when.
The Lord has kept Leviathan to be devoured of whom thou wilt and when. What does that mean? The Lord is restoring Leviathan to be devoured of a certain people when the Lord will. It says, but unto Leviathan thou gavest a seventh part, namely the moist, and has kept him to be devoured of whom thou wilt and when. Alright? Now, go to the book of Job, chapter 40. Job, chapter 40. Let's show you about Leviathan. Alright? Is Leviathan a clean animal? Let's read it. Job, chapter 40. Was that 41? I believe Leviathan is Job 41. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Alright, Job 41. Yeah, read one.
Job chapter 41, verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord, which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn?
Alright, jump to 14.
Verse 14.
So this whole chapter is about Leviathan has power. How no man can take him down.
Who can open the doors of his face? His
Talking about
teeth,
his mouth. Doors of your face is your mouth.
his teeth are terrible round about.
Right, he got them round teeth like a piranha. Go on.
His scales are his pride.
So he got scales. His scales are his pride.
Shut up together as with a closed seal.
So Leviathan got scales. Now the scriptures don't say if he got fins or not. But if you live in the water and you got scales, more than likely you got fins. I can't think of a creature that has scales but no fins in the water. Right? Do creatures have, you know, if a creature that got scales and no fins in the water?
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of. You can have fins and no scales, but if you got scales, you probably more than likely you got fins. So Leviathan, he has scales, so more than likely he has fins.
Because the Most High not going to make us eat a clean animal.
Right. Now from there, let's go to the book of try and zoom through this. Jeremiah 23 and 1. Alright, we got about 10 more. I said that before, but try and shorten it down. Jeremiah 23 and 1. So we got the covenant with the beasts of the field. We're going to have scoffers and scorners in the wilderness. You got what you're going to be eating in the wilderness. You're not going to have manna, but you're going to have Leviathan. Jeremiah 23 and 1. I don't even know. Let's read that. Go on, you can read it.
Just woe be unto the pastors.
Yeah.
Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord.
Right, talking about false prophets and then Joel Osteen and what's some false prophets? I'm about to say
Creflo Dollar.
Creflo Dollar. Eddie Long just died. Your neighborhood church pastor. All these false prophets, man. Warn to these, man. You have wicked Israelite false pastors. Go on.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord, God of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people.
Are you feeding the people with false philosophies and false doctrine and breaking down the scriptures to them in lies?
Yea, have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord.
Right.
And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries.
Talking about the deliverance out of all countries.
Whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds.
To the land of Israel.
And they shall be fruitful and increase.
Right.
And I will set up shepherds over them.
Shepherds are leaders. You're going to have the chief shepherd, the chief shepherd, which is Yahushua. Then you're going to have King David on the earth. And then you're going to have different leaders, which are the 12 apostles and the rest of the 144,000. Those are the shepherds that the Lord is going to set up over us. Now we'll set up shepherds over them,
which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord.
Right. So the Lord's going to set up leaders in the wilderness. And the first wilderness, the Lord used Jethro, which was the father-in-law of Moses, to set up judges over 50 and judges over 1,000 and judges over 10,000. And the chief of the matters and problems, they went directly to Moses. All right. That's where Esau get his system of a circuit court, a district court, a supreme court from. They got that from the scriptures. You got levels of judgment. You're going to have levels of judgment that's going to be instituted in the wilderness. You're going to have, like I said, Yahushua, King David. You got the 12 apostles. Then you're going to have different leaders and governors and princes. These are going to be known as the shepherds. And they're going to have to get the rest of the Israelites in order. You had that in the first wilderness. You had the prince. You had the princes of Issachar, the princes of Judah, and so forth and so on. We're gonna have the same thing in the second wilderness. All right, let's go to the book of 1 Peter 5:1 about the shepherds. 1 Peter, actually go to Jeremiah 3:14. Jeremiah chapter 3:14. All right. Jeremiah chapter 3:14. We're going to read this as it is written and keep it in context.
Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 14.
Right?
Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you, and I will take you of one of a city.
I'll take you one of a city.
And two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion.
Right, the Lord's not taking your whole family. He only taking a remnant of them. Go on.
And I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding.
Right, so the Lord's going to set up those. That's talking about now, and when the Lord sets us up, He's going to set up governors and leaders up there in the wilderness and in the kingdom. You're going to have a body government. Like Esau has a government. He has the presidents and delegates and the legislative branch, executive branch. We're going to have our own government, man. Where do you think Esau got his idea of government from? He got that from the scriptures. Because we had a government in the wilderness. You had a chief judge in the wilderness. You understand? If somebody went off, you put them in hold, like in a little prison. Said judgment was executed for them. So you're going to have the same thing being established in the wilderness. We're establishing the kingdom and order and who's going to do what role and what's going to happen. All right? Zechariah 12 tells you that you're going to have governors. You understand? Ezekiel, the latter chapters, tell you that you're going to have princes. You have governors and princes and rulers over Israel. You're going to have regular Israelites. You understand? They're just, least of the kingdom Israelites. Then you have elite Israelites. There's going to be levels and order. Even though all Israel is going to be in the kingdom, it's going to be order and class. Like any kingdom. Then you have servants and slaves. All right? From there, let's go to the book of 1 Peter 5:1. All right? 1 Peter chapter 5:1. Slakia. Oh my goodness. You can just read it. 1 Peter 5:1.
1 Peter chapter 5, verse 1. The elders which are among you I exhort, who am also an elder.
Right, Peter's exhorting all of the elders because he's an elder. Go on.
And a witness of the sufferings of Christ, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of God, which is among you. Right,
like the Lord said in the Proverbs, He said, be diligent to know the state of your flock and look well to thy herds. So when you feed the flock, you break down the scriptures to them. So right now we feed in the flock. We break it down precept upon precept about what's going to take place in the wilderness, what's going to be in the wilderness, and what's going to go down in the wilderness. So we're feeding the flock. The Lord told us to feed the flock of God which is among you. Go on.
Taking the oversight thereof.
Right, taking control.
Not by a constraint, but willingly.
Right, but willingly.
Not for filthy lucre,
not for money,
but of a ready mind.
Go on.
Neither as being lords over God's heritage, but being examples to the flock.
Go on.
And when the chief shepherd.
So you're going to have actual shepherds, but you're going to have the chief shepherd, which is Yahushua. So Jeremiah 23:4 says He's going to set up shepherds in Israel in the wilderness, but then you're going to have the chief shepherd, which is Yahushua. And when the chief shepherd shall appear,
ye shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away.
So you're going to have that chief shepherd, Yahushua, that king. All right, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Go to the book of Psalms 80:1. Psalms chapter 80:1. All right, so we're talking about the order that's going to be established. You're going to have judges and leaders and elders. You understand? The elect, the ancients. All right? You're going to have the prophets like Abraham. Abraham is not going to be in the same level as an ordinary Israelite, man. You're going to have levels in the kingdom. Psalms 80:1.
Give ear, O shepherd of Israel.
The shepherd of Israel is Yahushua.
Thou that leadest Joseph like a flock, thou that dwellest between the cherubims shine forth.
It's talking about Yahushua because when they made the Ark of the Covenant, you had the cherubim on one side and symmetrical. You had the other cherubim on the other side. And you had the mercy seat, which symbolized Yahushua between the two cherubims. Because up there in the heavens, Yahushua, He dwells between two cherubims. So when they built the Ark of the Covenant, it's a physical monument representing Yahushua. So in the mercy seat, when you made atonement for your sins, that's symbolic for Yahushua making atonement for your sins. because everything that happened in the wilderness was a similitude of Yahushua himself. That serpent being made of brass, right, being lifted up, heals you. That's Yahushua. He tell you that in John 3:14 on down to 16. Even Esau, that serpent, they use that for the hospitals and for ambulances. That symbolizes Yahushua. That rock gushing out of water that Moses hit, that symbolizes Yahushua. That rock that issues out that living water. All right. That manna, that bread represented Yahushua. All right. That Ark of the Covenant represented Yahushua. They are all a shadow of things to come. All right. So he's the chief shepherd. All right. From there, let's go to the book of Ezekiel chapter 34 and 26. Ezekiel 34 and 26. All right. So we're breaking down this wilderness for you, man. You should be taking some notes. Ezekiel 34 and 26. It's a topic that Jake really don't go into. All right, let's read that. We're going to read 26 down to 29.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 26.
Or you're just going to read 26 and 27. Or 28. Just read down to 28.
And I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing, and I will cause the shower to come down in his season. There shall be showers of blessing,
Right?
and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit.
Right, because we're going to have plant those trees. We read you that in the scriptures. We're going to plant them vines and sow vineyards and plant trees, and it's going to yield their fruit. Go on.
And the earth shall yield her increase.
Right, it's not going to take. Sometimes you plant a tree, it may take like 8 months for that tree to grow. The Lord's going to have those trees prosper and grow in due season because the Lord doesn't deal with time. All right, go on.
And they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am the Lord, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the land of those that serve them.
The hand of those that serve them.
The hand of those that serve themselves of them. And they shall, keep going.
Yeah.
And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid.
Right, we read about the beasts of the field not going to be able to devour us due to that contract of covenant the Lord is going to restore with them. All right? And we're telling you about the trees and the plants and how that land is going to blossom and flourish as it was as the Garden of Eden. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 13 and 20. One more scripture on Yahushua being that chief shepherd. Hebrews chapter 13 and 20. All right. Hebrews 13 and 20.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 20. Now the God of peace, that brought again from the dead our Lord Yahushua, that great shepherd of the sheep, through the blood of this everlasting covenant. Showing
that Yahushua, he's the chief shepherd amongst the sheep. Just one more precept. Now let's go to Ezekiel 20 and 33. So you're going to have that chief shepherd, Yahushua, but you're going to have minor shepherds under him in the wilderness being established. Everybody's going to get their rank and order. Everybody's going to know who they were in their past life. Everybody's going to get that hidden manna and understand what your role was on the earth. Barakatah. Ezekiel 20 and 33. Now we're getting down to the truth. All right, getting down to the what they say, the nitty gritty.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 33.
Right.
As I live, saith the Lord God, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you.
Right, I just read that in Micah 7 in the beginning. It said, feed thy people with thy rod, meaning rule over them. He's going to rule over us with fury. All right, he's not going to rule over us and say, hey guys, here's the kingdom. Let's do what you want to do. You understand? Here goes some marbles, some jacks, and here's the scriptures, and here you guys, you can just do what you want to do.
Have at it.
Yeah, just have at it. Be free. Do as thou wilt.
I was about to say that.
Come as you are. The Lord not going to do that. He's going to rule over us with fury and anger because he has to establish a government, weed out the people that's going to die in the wilderness, teach the commandments, to show us his the new covenant. All of these things are going to take place. All right, the hidden manna, that white stone, all of those things are going to transpire. Go on. 34.
And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
So we're actually going to see Yahweh Shai face to face. Right now we only see him through the book. Give me the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and 12 real quick. 1 Corinthians 13 and 12. So Yahweh Shai said we're going to see him face to face. We had our first mediator, Moses, we saw face to face. The second mediator, the Lord from heaven, Yahweh Shai, we're going to see him face to face. He's an austere man. He's a mean man. He's not going to be cracking jokes and smiling in the wilderness. That's the time to get the nation in order. All right? As the judge that saw his officers. What's the scripture? What I say?
1 Corinthians 13 and 12.
1 Corinthians, I like this scripture too. 1 Corinthians 13 and 12. All right, go on.
For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face.
But then what?
Face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known.
Right. So the Lord said in the wilderness, we're going to see him face to face. In 1 Corinthians 13 and 12, Paul said, for now we see through a glass darkly. The glass is his Bible. You understand? You see through it darkly because you can't see everything. You don't know the complete Yahweh Shai. You're only looking at him through pages of a book because he's the word. You don't have all of the understanding and all of the mysteries, and you can't physically see Yahweh Shai himself. You're dealing with the spirit of Yahweh Shai. That's how you see through the glass darkly, because you can't fully understand.
So you can't have 100% truth.
Right, because you're looking through the glass darkly. It's like you look through the window. You know, you look through a window and you cuff it around your eyes, and you looking through it. You can't see everything.
Yeah.
You can see a little bit of things. You can try to break it down to somebody as best as you can, but you don't see. But when you actually walk inside, you can write a whole book on what you see and break it down. So right now we're looking through Yahweh Shai darkly, but it says what? But then what? But then face to face. So it's not going to be darkly in the wilderness. We're going to see him face to face. We're going to see Yahweh Shai as he is. It says, now I know in part. So what do you mean you know in part? Meaning you only know the scriptures according to the wisdom that the Most High gave you. You don't have the complete understanding of the Bible. Nobody does. It says what? But then shall I know, even as also I am known. What does that mean? Then you're going to know this complete truth. You're going to know the same complete truth the same way that the Lord knows you. All right? That's self-explanatory. The Lord knows you inside and out. That's the same way you're going to know Yahweh Shai and know this word. That's what it means. Then shall I know, even as also I am known. Because you're known of Yahweh Shai and completeness. That's the same way you're going to be able to see through this glass clearly. That's what Zechariah, what it say in Ezekiel, you're going to see face to face. Let's go back to that. Ezekiel chapter 20. All right, hold on. Let me. Oh man, I did something again. Hold on. Ezekiel chapter 20, and we just at 36. Hold on, let me make sure that's what I want. Read 36 again. 35.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
All right, now go to Zechariah 12 and 10. Another precept for seeing Yahweh Shai face to face. All right, I almost forgot that one. Zechariah chapter 12 and 10. All right, Zechariah, because Yahweh Shai is physically going to be there in the wilderness. Let's read it.
Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications. And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced.
They shall what?
And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced.
Right, we're going to look upon it because we actually pierced him. We delivered him up. That's what it's saying. We're going to look upon him whom we have pierced. And in the same way he appeared before the 12 apostles with the holes in his hand and all of that, that's the same way we're going to see Yahweh Shai. All right? That's why I said in Isaiah 53, there is no beauty that we should desire in him. Because we're going to see him when he came, the way he got crucified. All right? And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced.
And they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn.
So it's not going to be a joyous occasion in the wilderness. You're going to be mourning. Yeah. It's going to be a mean time. It's not going to be a time to turn up in the wilderness. It's going to be a time to get in order. Get your life. You better get it together now. You understand? You're at that grace period in Babylon the Great, but now it's about to go down. You're not going to be dealing with grace in the wilderness. You're going to get it. You better get it together now, or that's it. You're going to be mourning. You're going to look at Yahushua. You're going to look at you. You're going to be crying. You're going to bow down to him. You understand? Read on.
Verse
11.
In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem,
Talking about the people.
as the mourning of
Hadadraman.
Hadadraman in the valley of Megiddo.
Megiddo. Because when Josiah died in the valley of Megiddo, when he went to try to kill the king of Pharaoh, there was a great mourning when he died. Go on. So it's going to be that same great mourning for Josiah. Even greater, we're going to have when we see Yahushua.
And the land shall mourn, every family apart.
So all Israel's going to be crying and mourning. Go on.
The family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart.
And the women going to be crying.
The family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart.
So Nathan's coming back on the earth in that lot.
The family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart. The family of Shimei apart, and their wives apart.
Right. So the whole family, the whole nation of Israel is going to be mourning and crying when they see Yahushua, man. It's not going to be a pleasant sight. You're not going to run up and give Yahushua a damn dap him up and hug and all of that and
Shalom, brother.
yeah, shalom. It's not going to be. It's going to be. Hey, this is it, man. You understand? Like tryouts on the basketball team, your coach going to be austere. You understand? You don't make it, you cut.
I was about to say, it's like right now, it's like a little quiz, pre-quizzes. And,
Right. That's where you got grades.
I mean, and then you got the road test in the wilderness.
Right. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 72 and 9. Psalm 72 and 5. 1. 72 and 1. All right, so he's showing you about seeing Yahushua face to face in the wilderness. All right, Psalms chapter 72 and 1. All right, now when you read this, it says a psalm for Solomon. Right, so this whole psalm is dedicated to King Solomon, but you're going to find out that this is really talking about Yahushua because Yahushua is Solomon. Go on.
Psalms of Solomon. Psalms chapter 72, verse 1. Give the king thy judgment, O God, and thy righteousness unto the king's son.
This is talking about Yahushua. Read on.
He shall judge thy people with righteousness, and thy poor with judgment. The mountains shall bring peace to the people, and the little hills by righteousness.
Right.
He shall judge the poor of the people. He shall save the children of the needy, and shall break in pieces the oppressor.
Talking about Esau.
They shall fear thee as long as the sun and moon endure throughout all generations.
Right.
He shall come down like rain upon the mown grass, as showers that water the earth. In his days shall the righteous flourish, and abundance of peace so long as the moon endureth.
Right. Righteousness is going to endure forever because Yahushua, he's the king of righteousness. He was Melchizedek, Malak Tazadok, king of righteousness, or Malak Shalom, which means the king of peace. That's why the abundance of peace is going to endure as long as the moon endureth. It's the same way the moon endures. It's the same way that peace is going to endure. Peace on the earth, and also peace between the nation of Israel and the Heavenly Father. Go on. That's why he's the Prince of Peace in Isaiah the 9th chapter.
Shalakia, he shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth.
So you know this is not talking about Solomon, as it says in the beginning right here, a song for Solomon, because Solomon did not have dominion from sea to sea and from the ends of the earth. But Yahushua, he's going to have dominion from sea to sea and from the river unto the ends of the earth. Go on.
They shall dwell in
They that
dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him.
What did the Lord say?
They that dwell in the wilderness
So the Israelites that dwell in the wilderness
shall bow before him.
So Solomon wasn't in the wilderness. So we know it's not talking about Solomon. It says, they that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him. So you're going to physically bow down before Yahushua the king. Don't it say that in Philippians, that at the name of Yahushua every knee shall bow? Even the angels, right? Even the demons bow down before Yahushua. The Israelites, we're going to bow down before Yahushua. Read it again now.
They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust.
Right, meaning they're going into captivity. And his enemies going to lick the dust of our feet too, because we're joint heirs with Yahushua in the kingdom. We're going to have to bow down before him in the wilderness and be obedient unto the laws that he enforces on us. So from there, let's go back to Ezekiel 20. All right, Ezekiel 20 and 33. Got two more. Ezekiel chapter 20 and 33. Or wherever you left off. Read 35 again.
20 and 35.
Is that where we left off? Yeah, 35 one more time.
Ezekiel chapter 20 verse 35. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, saith the Lord God.
Right.
And I
plead with you mean he gonna deal with you, man. And get numbers. Actually, read on.
14.
Let's read on.
And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
So what does it mean he's going to plead with us as he pleaded with our fathers? The same way the Lord dealt with us in the wilderness is the same way he's going to deal with us again. Get where it says, I will cause you to pass under the rod. Go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 27 and 32. Leviticus chapter 27 and 32. When you have sheep and you allow them to pass under the rod, a shepherd, you count the sheep one by the rod. You understand? And at the end of the night, the sheep enter into the fold, but the bad sheep that have things wrong with them, you set them by the side. So when the Lord allows the Israelites to pass under the rod, the good sheep are going to pass into the kingdom or pass into that everlasting life, and the wicked sheep that are rebellious, they're going to be set aside. That's what it means. He's going to allow us to pass under the rod and bring us into the bond of the covenant. And the bond of that covenant is the new covenant that you read about in Hebrews, the 8th chapter. And Jeremiah, was that 31? All right, read that.
Leviticus chapter 27, 32. And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the 10th shall be holy unto the Lord.
Read it again.
And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the 10th shall be holy unto the Lord.
So whatever passed under the rod, it will be holy unto the Lord, the 10th of that. So the Lord is going to use Israel, and we're the sheep, and he's the shepherd. And then we're going to pass under that rod, meaning we're going to get corrected. You understand? We're going to get reproved. We're going to be taught the laws and commandments. And those that survive that, and those that accept that, and that are down with that, they're going to pass under the rod and be allowed to get that everlasting life and new covenant. But those that are not selected, they're going to be set aside to be destroyed. All right, those that are selected, they're going to get the bonds of that new covenant. Because you're going to have certain Israelites that's not down with the program. That's what the Lord is going to say, what he says in the next verse. Read 38. That's why 37 and Ezekiel 20:37 says the same thing in Micah 7 and 14. Feed thy people with thy rod, meaning rule over them. He said, I'm going to rule over you with fury and anger.
Ezekiel chapter 20 verse 38. And I will purge out from among you the rebels.
Right, you're going to have people rebelling against the Lord in the wilderness.
And them that transgress against
people are still going to be going off against the Lord because they're not going to have the law, statutes, and commandments in the inward parts. So they're still going to be in that nature. Go on.
I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn.
Meaning you may get delivered out of the land that you at.
And they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Right, meaning you're not going to enter, meaning you're not going to make it. You're going to give up the ghost. You're going to get put to death. So the Lord is going to have people in the wilderness that's not going to survive. Go to the book of Numbers, chapter 14. Let me see what I want, though. Let's give you an example of people not entering into the land. Numbers 14. And, let me see. Let's lock it, Israel. Bear with me 1 second. Alright, it started, hold on. Man, what scripture is that? Well, it started, I had it written down. Hold on, Israel. Bear with me 1 second. Numbers. Alright, just read 14 and 1.
Numbers chapter 14, verse 1.
No, actually jump to what do I want to start? I don't want to read this whole chapter. Jump to 20.
Verse 20. And the Lord
It's an example of Israel rebelling in the wilderness.
And the Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word. But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. Because all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles, which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened to my voice. Surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it.
So that's the same thing in Ezekiel. He said, you should not enter into the land of Israel, meaning you're not going to see that kingdom prosper. You're going to die in the wilderness. The same men that died in that ancient wilderness, man, who saw the miracles. They saw the bread come down from heaven. They saw the chariot over them. They saw the pillar of light, you understand, and the cloud by day and the fire by night. All right, they saw the Red Sea get parted. They saw the firstborn get destroyed in Egypt and all the plagues and water come out of the rock and all of the other miracles, man. But yet they rebelled against the Lord in the wilderness. Ecclesiastes 1:9, it says, the thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done it is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So those same people are going to come back in the second wilderness and do the same thing all over again and die. They got delivered out. Just because you get delivered don't mean you completely made it. Look what happened during the time of Moses. All right, bring it up.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 21. Furthermore, the Lord was angry with me for your sakes, and sware that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go in unto that good land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over Jordan, but ye shall go over and possess that good land.
Right, so Moses wasn't allowed to enter into the promised land. He died in the wilderness. And that's Moses, a man of God. All right? He the one that delivered Israel through the Spirit. All right, let's go to Ezekiel 20 and 13. Start at 12. Let's give you another example of Israel rebelling in the wilderness.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 13. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness.
Read that again.
But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And my Sabbaths they greatly polluted. Then I said I would pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them.
That's the same thing we read in the latter verses of this chapter. The Lord is going to pour his fury upon us to consume us. Go on.
But I wrought for my name's sake that it should not be polluted before the heathen, in whose sight I brought them out. Yet also I lifted up my hand unto them in the wilderness.
I lifted up my hand to them in the wilderness,
that I would not bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of the land of all lands.
Right, so that's what's going to happen, man. The Lord is going to have people die out in the wilderness the same way he had people die out in the ancient wilderness. He said, I lifted up my hand unto them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I have given them. Although they got delivered out of the captivity, they perished in the wilderness because of unbelief and they lack of faith in Yahushua.
Because they despised my judgments.
That's why they died, because they despised his judgments.
And walked not in my statutes, but polluted my Sabbaths. For their heart went after their own idols. Salakia went after their idols. Nevertheless, mine eye spared them from destroying them, neither did I make an end of them in the wilderness.
Because there was a remnant, Joshua and Caleb, and that following generation entered into the promised land. Not all of Israel died in the wilderness. So in the second wilderness, not all of Israel is going to die. Just a few of them that rebel and transgress. Children are going to be false prophesying. People are going to be wicked. People are going to have to put their children to death. When you read Zechariah, all hell is going to be breaking loose. All right, let's go to the book of, is that it? Let's go to the book of Hebrews 8 and 6. Actually, let's go to Ezekiel 13 and 9. All right, because it said they shall not enter into that land. Ezekiel chapter 13 and 9. You can read it from here.
Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 9. And mine hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity and that divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the houses of Israel, neither shall they enter into the land of Israel.
So when you read about people not entering into the land of Israel, that means they're going to die. So in Ezekiel it said, I will bring them forth out of the countries where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So when it says in the scriptures that you're not going to enter into that land, it means you're going to die. Go on.
And ye shall know that I am the Lord God.
Now let's close out with let's go to Hebrews chapter 8 and 6. So what's going to be given to you in the new covenant, the wilderness, is this new covenant. Hebrews chapter 8 and start at 6.
Hebrews chapter 8 verse 6.
Yeah.
But now he hath obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises.
Right, so the first covenant was faulty, you understand, through animal sacrifice, right? But the better covenant is through Yahweh Shai, who constantly makes atonement for your sins, and the laws are going to be your inward part, and you're not going to sin. Go on.
For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second.
Right.
For finding fault with them,
with the Israelites,
he said, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their minds, into their mind, and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. In that he saith, A new covenant he hath made, the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. Right,
so the Lord is going to teach Israel that new covenant, but like the scripture says, certain people are going to rebel and transgress against that. Same thing that happened in the ancient wilderness. You can read about that in like I said, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. People rebelling and trying to have preeminence over Moses, and scoffers and scorners. Same dynamic is going to be in the modern wilderness. All right, so this has just been a quick breakdown. Break it down where it's going to be at. Let's bring out the location again. All right, we give you the location of northern Israel right here. The land is going to be made desolate due to the battle of Armageddon and World War III. It's going to be made a desert land, but the Lord is going to place us in his land and restore it back as it was in the days of old. All right, another map. You got Lebanon, Mount Carmel, Bashan and Gilead over here, northern part of Israel. Eventually, the whole land is going to be built up. All right. Another map. All right. Akor over here, plain of Sharon, Mount Carmel, Gilead, Bashan. Same thing over again. All right. Another elevated map. If you need to see, you can look these things up. All right. What's this right here? Another map. All right. Gilead. Right. Gilead, Bashan right here. All right. Upon these mountains right here. Akor. All right. Northern part of Israel. Gilead. Ramoth Gilead. All right, this is where Israel is going to be at, where that wilderness, this region right here, upon the mountains and rivers. Yahweh Shai is going to be there. The princes and the kings are going to be there. The 12 apostles are going to be there. All right, it's going to be a hard time for Israel. So this has just been Brother Naquan coming back at you with these precepts.
Brother Yaradon too.
And another breakdown. We're going to bid you shalom.